Today's game is brought to you by Alcoa, producer of energy-saving aluminum. By Dodge, test drive the new 1980 Dodge cars, engineered with room, styling, ride, and handling. By Schlitz, make the most of now. From the life you live to the beer you drink, go for it. And by Kmart Automotive Service Centers, where quality car products are Kmart priced. Hello, everyone, and welcome to beautiful San Diego Stadium. Dick Enberg with Merlin Olsen as the San Diego Chargers and the Pittsburgh Steelers do battle. Two teams with their eyes focused upon the upcoming playoffs. The Steelers, the winningest team in the National Football League. The Chargers currently tied with the Denver Broncos in the AFC West at 8-3. Owens and Bauer, two deep men for the Chargers in white. The Super Bowl champions in their familiar black and gold, ready to go. Matt Barr to kick it off. A noisy crowd in San Diego. Deep kick by Barr. Owens 2 yards in his own end zone. Out he comes to the 10. And he returns to the 20-yard line. Chargers put it in play at the 20. Tom Graves, rookie from Michigan State, made the tackle. Dan Fouts, leading passer in the National Football League in many of the statistical categories, takes his team onto the field with just a completion shy of John Hadel's all-time San Diego record. Merlin Olsen, his offensive set in the backfield. He'll start with Lydell Mitchell and Clarence Williams. Both wide receivers to the right. Jefferson in motion behind his quarterback. Joyner on the right side. Bob Klein, the tight end, and out come the Chargers going to the aerial game to Joyner. Incomplete. Broken up by Donnie Shell, and a flag is down. Charlie Joyner. And a penalty flag on the play. Preliminary signal. Some of the San Diego Charger fans cheering, so apparently against the Steelers. Fouts with a great aerial game. As you see, the official mark all five. Red Cashin, John Jefferson, and Charlie Joyner. They've caught more passes between them than any tandem in the National Football League. Veteran tight end Bob Klein at tight end.
Quick look at the offensive line. Shields, Wilkerson, Masick. I don't think Masick's in there. I think we're going to have Rush in there. Ed White and Russ Washington, but that's a big, big offensive line.
1st and 5 for San Diego. Fouts on the ground, and Mitchell squirms for 4 and nearly to a first down. Yes, he gets to the 30-yard line before Shell could come up from the secondary to make the hit. First down, San Diego.
Let's take a peek at the steel curtain. L.C. Greenwood and Joe Green, familiar fixtures on the left side of that line. Jerry Dunn and John Banaszak, although we'll see some alternating on that side. Great linebackers. Ham, Lambert, and Winston, who got into that lineup because of an injury, is still there. They can't get him out of there. Johnson, Blunt, Donnie Shell, J.T. Thomas. Thomas doing a super job filling in for Mike Wagner.
First down, San Diego at its 30-yard line. Bo Matthews in the lineup for the Chargers. Mitchell for about 3 yards before Jack Lambert, having another sensational year, makes the tackle, and some of the Charger fans thought there was a little unnecessary push there by the Pittsburgh defense. Lydell Mitchell is an interesting game in so many ways, Merlin Olsen. We have Lydell Mitchell, Franco Harris against each other. They were great teammates at Penn State. As pros, between them, they've gained nearly 15,000 yards rushing.
We certainly do have some of the cream of the crop of the NFL in this ball game today, and I'm looking forward to some exciting football day.
Just underway. Perfect weather conditions. Partly cloudy, 65 degrees. On 2nd and 7, a flag down. The toss is to Jefferson, incomplete. At midfield, coverage by Ron Johnson, and we'll check the penalty.
It would appear that they're trying to test Ron Johnson earlier, and that's certainly something that's not new to this Pittsburgh defense. Blunt on the other corner is so tough. He doesn't get as many opportunities. But Ron Johnson has proved to be a very capable and difficult back to beat.
You saw Red Cashin signaling for the second time in this opening series that the Steelers were offside. It appeared he said 68 L.C. Greenwood, perhaps lined up offside.
I would think so. It didn't appear that he jumped. The Steelers, though, have to be a little pumped. A crowd like this and the noise and the excitement, they're not immune to that either, Dick.
Second down and 3 at the 37. possession. Fouts going long for Jefferson. The official started to reach for his flag and then pulled his hand away. Not unlike an umpire in baseball starting to go up with that strike sign and then catching his hand on the chest protector.
I'd have to say that Jefferson appeared to be doing a great job of acting. The same kind of thing we see. There is a bump right here, but it looked like that Ron Johnson actually had position before Jefferson got there, and Jefferson actually bumped him, went to the ground, didn't get the call.
Berlin, as we talked in the pregame show, the Chargers throw the football. That's what they do best. They have not had an effective running game. And on 2nd and 3, Fouts went for the bomb. Now he faces 3rd and 3 with 3 wide receivers. Klein is out. Jefferson is open, but couldn't get to the ball as Donnie Shell came over to shield him away. Well, the Chargers going to Jefferson early, unable to connect on 3 attempts, and now Jeff West will come in to punt.
One of the things we're going to keep a good eye on is how much time these two quarterbacks have to throw. If Fouts has time today, he can keep San Diego on top with his passing game. But the Steelers are going to be doing everything they can to limit the amount of time he has to throw that football.
West has not had a particularly good year, 14th in his own conference. On the other end, T. Bell, and a beautiful catch. Fair catch. At the 18-yard line, Jeff West delivering one of the best punts of the year for him.
West a little slow getting that kick off. Came close to getting it blocked, Dick. And I'm sure that part of the oomph in that ball came from the shock of seeing so many black-shirted Steelers approaching him as he kicked it.
He had to feel some breath. They were in on top of him. Terry Bradshaw opens with Franco Harris and Rocky Bleier. Sidney Thornton out of this game with an injury to an ankle. Stallworth and Swan wide. The big tight end target, Benny Cunningham. From the 18, Bradshaw leads the NFL touchdown passes 21, and Harris rips off an 8-yard gain on his first carry. Glenn Edwards, a former Steeler, number 27, made the tackle, and Rocky Bleier, an outstanding blocking back, opened the hole for Harris.
Down in the trenches, fine offensive line for the Steelers. John Cole, Sam Davis, the captain, Webster, Mullins, and Larry Brown. Brown having a great year, is bothered by a knee injury today.
2nd down and a long one at the 27-yard line for Pittsburgh. Down to play with, but Bradshaw stays on the ground to Harris. He's to the 31-yard line and a first down. Harris, who had a terribly slow start this year, the first month or so, he was averaging well under 3 yards a carry. Well, of late, he's been averaging nearly 6 a try and has a 4.6-yard average for the year. Only the 5th man ever to pass the 8,000-yard mark in NFL rushing. What a player. First down, Steelers at the 31. Harris again with a flag down. 35, 36-yard line, and now we'll check the penalty. Gary Johnson finally tracked down Harris.
Terry Bradshaw was telling me before the game that this is a very aggressive and eager defense, and he was hoping to try and draw them off sides a little bit today, and it appears that they've been successful here in the early going doing that.
The gain was about 5, so undoubtedly Bradshaw will take the 5 and save the down. Defensive line for the Chargers, Leroy Jones. Wilbur Young, the giant tackle, who's moved inside and found new life in that San Diego defense, replacing Louis Kelcher. Big Hands Johnson and Fred Dean, their best pass rusher. Preston, Horn, and Lowe, the linebackers. Preston, in particular, has played very well this year and now leads San Diego in total tackles.
Preston had 11 unassisted tackles just last week. Buchanan, Williams, Fuller, and Edwards, a very competent backfield, but there's some weaknesses that Bradshaw may try to exploit this afternoon.
3.5 minutes have been played in the opening quarter. 1st and 5 for Bradshaw at the 36-yard line. Draw to Harris. And he has another big chunk of yardage out to the 44, following number 55, John Kolb. Woody Lowe and Glenn Edwards made the stop.
Let's take a quick look from the end zone as you watch that play open up. Draw play, Bradshaw dropping back, some excellent trap blocking on the inside. Larry Brown, 79 on Horn right there, and you get a feeling for the ability of Franco Harris to see the hole, to react to it. He has great vision, great reactions as a runner.
3 carries. He's averaged 7 yards on the first 3 attempts. First down at the 44 for Pittsburgh. Harris on a trap, and he's met sharply by Bob Horn, number 55, the middle linebacker from Oregon State. And that's the first time that Harris hasn't gotten a big gain. It's second down and a long 8. Overtime game, Miami and Cleveland. Brian Sipe hit Ozzie Newsome on a 34-yard touchdown throw, Merlin, with a minute and a half left to force that game into the overtime period. The Dolphins and the Browns, 2 teams fighting for a playoff spot. Don Coryell looks on, second down, call it 9. Quick toss to Harris. For no gain, and the crowd loves that.
Excellent pursuit, Dick, by the Charger defense. You've got to believe that if Pittsburgh has its choice today, they're going to run the football, control it, eat up the clock, try and give Fouts and that passing offense for the Chargers the fewest number of possessions that they can allow. Right now, San Diego's defense has shut them down, given them a 3rd and long. Let's see if Bradshaw can throw the ball as well as they have run it here in the early going.
Bradshaw, 21 touchdown passes to lead the NFL. He has not run the way we saw Bradshaw in years past. Hasn't had to. 3rd and 8. Down the middle, intercepted. Ray Preston at the 50. At the 40. The Chargers got the turnover they wanted early. First down at the Pittsburgh 36. Preston, his 4th of the year.
The Chargers were hoping to get some big turnovers. When the Steelers have lost this year, it has not been often. It's been because of their own mistakes. And right here, Bradshaw makes one as he throws to a man who is well covered by 2 Chargers. The result's obvious. Preston steps in front of the receiver. Number 52 towing down the sideline. Gets a good tackle over there by Larry Brown. But the Chargers have a marvelous opportunity to go ahead early.
First down at the 37. A 23-yard interception returned by Preston. Lydell Mitchell. Not much of a hole. Smothered by that Steeler defense after a gain of about 3. Jack Lambert led the black jersey charge with Donnie Shell coming up to assist. Chuck Noll and Bradshaw trying to sort out what went wrong on that long toss up the middle. It appears that Bradshaw saying, I expected him to curl in, and he wasn't there.
You've got to believe that neither of those men is very happy about that last play. A lot of pressure right here on Pittsburgh's defense. Let's see if they can stand up to it.
9 minutes left in the first quarter. No score. 2nd and 7 for Dan Fouts. Bob Klein, the tight end, in motion. Good protection. A flag down. Complete to Jefferson. 20. Fumbles at the 17-yard line, and I believe recovered his own fumble. Yes, he did. Now let's check the penalty flag. Boy, that Jefferson is a lightning bolt in the secondary. He had a little running room, and did he turn it on?
It appears that the penalty will go against the Steelers as they move downfield, but watch Fouts. He has time to get that ball off, and Jefferson is so quick, it doesn't even look like his feet are touching the ground. Beautiful play, but as you said, Dick, the ball was fumbled. The Chargers lucky to get it back.
Jefferson, those goggles to protect his eyes after he was poked in the eye once. They're not for correction. Has a first down at the Pittsburgh 16-yard line. Fouts ties John Hadel's completion mark set back in 71. Now he goes for the mark himself and looking for 6. Jefferson. Johnny Jefferson, who led the NFL receivers last year with 13 touchdowns, now has his 10th of this year. Make that his 8th of the year. And Fouts breaks the San Diego record and gets a touchdown to boot. Mike Wood to try the extra point out of Johnny Fuller's hold. The Chargers on on the pass interception by Preston, go 37 yards and score on a touchdown throw. Dan Fouts to John Jefferson. Took them only 3 plays.
What a great exhibition of football from the San Diego Chargers. They throw the ball, throw the football as well as anyone in football. 3 ingredients to this pass. Good protection, good pass, solid pass right there, and Jefferson just broke into the clear. Looks like he beat J.T. Thomas. He's all by himself. Blunt also coming over to try and defend, but John Jefferson, the touchdown maker, has done it again for the Chargers. And Dick, one question that we hope to be able to answer today: can a team that specializes in throwing the football and has some weaknesses in their running offense and some weaknesses on defense, can they expect to stay in the game?
Go to NFL 79 in New York.
This is Brian Gumble in New York reporting that in Cleveland, the Browns have beaten the Miami Dolphins in overtime by a score of 30-24. Brian Sipe at the controls. Remember, he completed a touchdown pass to Ozzie Newsome in the final minute to tie it. This time from 40 yards out, goes up top, finds Reggie Rucker, number 33, crossing into the end zone. He's beaten Tim Foley. The Browns win at 30-24 to push their record to 8-4. The Dolphins drop back to 7-5.
Thank you, Bryant. The kickoff to Larry Anderson, and he fumbles at the 20-yard line. The Chargers recover. Cliff Thrift came up with a ball, 59. A flag is down. We'll check to see if that affects the play. It would appear that penalties against Pittsburgh. It is a low block by the Steelers. San Diego has the ball, leading 7-0.
Let's take a quick look at that play again. What a dramatic start for the San Diego Chargers. Larry Brown getting up inside. He's going to get a shot right there from Cliff Thrift. It looks like the ball was stripped out, though, by Pete Shaw, number 44.
We welcome those fans who have just seen New England beat Baltimore 50-21. Here in San Diego, the Chargers have scored early, and they've just recovered the fumble on the ensuing kickoff. Dan Fouts throwing for Jefferson. Off his fingertips. It was Jefferson catching a rainbow throw from Fouts, 16 yards for a touchdown. That gave the Chargers the first score of the game. It followed an interception by Ray Preston and a return by Preston to the Pittsburgh 37. Fouts needed 3 plays to score. Dick Enberg with Merlin Olsen in San Diego. They say the biggest sports event in the history of this city, and so far the fans here that are lucky enough to have a ticket are enjoying themselves.
They've had a great deal to cheer about in the early going. Fouts would love to get another one into the end zone right here.
Second down and 10 at the 20-yard line. Klein in motion, Fouts to the aerial game again. Charlie Joyner had his hands on it, leaping over the tall Mel Blunt. Blunt, number 47, 6'3", and perhaps as fine a man-to-man defender as there is in the National Football League. Now it's 3rd and 10, San Diego.
And Richard Spalding, please report to.
We welcome those fans who have just seen that thrilling come-from-behind win by the Browns, who tied it with 1.5 minutes to go and then won on a Sipe to Rucker touchdown in overtime. Here in San Diego, the Chargers lead 7-0, and after a fumble recovery on a kickoff after the touchdown, have a 3rd and 10 at the Pittsburgh 20. That's Jefferson. Intercepted by Pittsburgh's Ron Johnson. So the Steeler defense drops the curtain on Dan Fouts, and Pittsburgh takes over at the 20-yard line.
Nick, at the top of the show, we said that the Chargers were not going to try to stand toe-to-toe with this tough Steeler team and punch it out. They were going to rely on their passing game, which they have done, and try to get some big plays out of special teams. Well, the Steelers have made a big play of their own right there as they take a scoring opportunity away from the San Diego Chargers.
Johnson's first interception of the year, and we'll be back at sold-out San Diego Stadium, where the Chargers lead the Steelers 7-0. Pittsburgh Steelers deny the Chargers a chance to take a sizable early lead on Ron Johnson's interception. Fouts had isolated Jefferson one-on-one on a great interception and coverage by Johnson. Bradshaw, who had his first pass intercepted, and that led to the San Diego touchdown, gives to Franco Harris. touchdown scored early after the interception. Dan Fouts had the ball at the 16-yard line.
Fouts' big play receiver is number 83, John Jefferson. Fouts is back and has time to fire that ball deep. And Jefferson just broke very clean. It looked like he started across the middle and cut it up into the end zone. Fouts put it right on the die there and put the thing in for 7 points. Dick, great start for the San Diego Chargers.
Jefferson's 8th touchdown catch of the year. It's 2nd down and 8, Pittsburgh. Bradshaw to throw. Rocky Blyer at the 20. He's out to the 27-yard line, short of the first down. Blyer playing for the injured Sidney Thornton, who probably will not play today. He has a bad ankle. Let's quickly reset that offense for the Pittsburgh Steelers. Mike Webster, the All-Pros at center, with Sam Davis and Jerry Mullins at the guards. John Kolb and Larry Brown at tackle. Tight end is Benny Cunningham. Bradshaw the quarterback. He has Harris and Blyer behind him with the wide receivers Stallworth and Swan. San Diego defensively, Jones, Young, Johnson, and Dean up front. Linebackers are Preston, Horn, and Lowe. Cornerbacks Buchanan and Mike Williams, Mike Fuller, and Glenn Edwards at safety. 3rd and 2 at the 28, and Harris first down and almost all the way. The last man got him at the 38-yard line. Glenn Edwards saved a possible touchdown.
The Pittsburgh Steelers are one of the toughest trapping teams in the NFL. Watch the trap here by number 72 Mullins coming across the screen. On the tackle, Gary Johnson, who had followed outside thinking that play was going to go outside. A big hole inside. Franco Harris takes advantage of it, gets a big gain and a first down.
Merlin, that's the kind of play that Franco often gets, the long touchdown run. Short yardage, he breaks cleanly, and they'll outrun the secondary. Edwards saved the score. First down, Bradshaw play action. Incomplete. Benny Cunningham. Pass was a little low, but you'd expect Cunningham to latch onto those, and he would have caught it on the dead run.
The Chargers have been hurt on screen passes this year, and it looked like half of their defensive line read that as a screen to Blyer, which had just been thrown to the other side. Broke to the outside, let Bradshaw get the pass off without any pressure, but unfortunately Cunningham, who's had a slow start coming back from an injury, did not hang on to the football. Had he done that, he would have had a big gain.
We're going to run down all the scores for you right after this play. It's 7-0 San Diego, first quarter, 6 minutes remaining. 2nd and 10 for Bradshaw. Harris caught in the backfield. Gary Big Hands Johnson, 79, got those big mitts on the jersey of Harris and dragged him down with help from Wilbur Young.
Let's go down and take a look at one of those defensive linemen. This is Fred Dean, number 71. Steps outside first. They're going to try and get back inside of him, but Johnson got such good penetration that he forced Franco to the outside. Dean able to keep his position and get a piece of that tackle. Quick look inside as you watch Dean get you watch Johnson get the penetration, get a hold of Franco, and then Fred Dean, number 71, come in to help wrap him up.
A rare loss for Harris, 2 yards, 3rd and 12. Bradshaw to Harris, incomplete, and a flag is down where you would suspect holding. If it is against Pittsburgh, Chargers undoubtedly will take the punt. They'll decline the penalty. Let's check with referee Red Cash, and holding is the call against Pittsburgh. Well, while the Chargers make their decision, let's run down the scores for you. In overtime, Cleveland beats Miami 30-24. Other NFL action today. Washington hands Dallas a 34-20 defeat. That really tightens things in the NFC East, a three-way tie, because Philadelphia was also victorious. The Bears put pressure on Tampa with a 23-13 win over the Jets. Buffalo wins against Green Bay 19-12. New England bombs Baltimore 50-21. Philadelphia beats St. Louis 16-13, the other final. Craig Colquitt hits one end over end. Mike Williams at the 25, 30, and Williams out to his 33-yard line. Now the Chargers with the lead have the football. 5 minutes, 2 seconds remaining. First quarter, Chargers 7, Steelers nothing. You all enjoyed the part 1 of the series on NFL 79 on the knee. Part 2 next week. More great football here on NBC. Starts with NFL 79.
vicious San Diego crowd as the Chargers have the ball at the 33-yard line, leading 7-0. Fumble. Pittsburgh recovers, or do they? J.T. Thomas had it. Got away, and up with it, Steve Furness, number 64, recovers the fumble. Lydell Mitchell loses the ball, and Pittsburgh, trailing 7-0, has its first turnover.
Don Coryell does not have much patience with the running game anyway, and this fumble may discourage the little bit of running that San Diego had started to do. Good, solid hit in the middle. 60, who's that in the middle? That's L.C. Greenwood penetrating hard, and it's Furness who finally jumps around and gets a hold of that football. The Steeler offense has the ball. Great field position.
First down at the 36-yard line of the Chargers. Bradshaw on the throw. Flyer breaks 3 tackles and gets to the 35 before Ray Preston can make the tackle.
Number 99, Willie Young, was penetrating in there and forced Bradshaw to throw that ball before he wanted to. This Charger defensive line, Dick, is unusual in that they play pass first. They are a highly aggressive defensive line. I think the Pittsburgh Steelers had hoped to trap them and slow them down a little bit, but they're still coming wide open in there right now.
Flyer turned a possible loss into a gain in 2nd down and 9. Fumble! The Chargers say they have it, and no signal due. There's a signal by the official. 55, Bob Horn came up with a football.
Well, shades of the loss by these Pittsburgh Steelers against the Cincinnati team. They fumbled 9 times and lost 7 of those in that game.
Now we've already had 4 turnovers. Pittsburgh's coughed it up 3 times, and San Diego, with 4:07 left in the first quarter, leads the Super Bowl champions 7-0.
It's lightweight. It's portable. It's virtually indestructible. You can hammer on it, saw on it, sand on it, paint on it, drive a screw on it, cut a pipe on it, clean a door on it, fix a picture on it, or a wheel.
Wednesday.
Here's the fumble on that last play, Merlin Olsen.
Would appear that Bradshaw just did not get that ball settled in Rocky Blyer's stomach. He never had control of it as it pops loose right there. Wilbur Young finishing the job, number 99, as he reaches in and makes sure that Blyer doesn't have a chance to get a hold of it.
We played less than 11 minutes and already 5 turnovers in this game. Charlie Joyner, the veteran from Grambling, in motion, and Fouts right back to the air under some pressure. And a flag is down. Short gain out to the 35. Official deep downfield tossed the flag. J.T. Thomas made the tackle for Pittsburgh.
I think we've got an illegal bump in there as there's a little conversation going there between Ron Johnson, number 29, and the official. The Chargers are not afraid to throw that football. They'll throw on any down. They'll throw anywhere in the field. It makes them kind of unique. They actually try and control the football with their passing game, much the way a team like Pittsburgh will try and control it with their running game.
Merlin, the Chargers, in fact, rushing the football, have only 2 teams that have done less with the ball on the ground in the entire National Football League. But Fouts, with that great arm and those outstanding receivers.
Contact. Number 29 on the defense. First down.
Puts enough pressure on the defense, and Ron Johnson burned a bit because he had to use an illegal chuck to keep his man in check.
Well, and I think one of the reasons for it is Fouts had a long time to stand back there. Greenwood fell down, and he just slipped out of there and had time to throw.
First down for the Chargers at the 39 on the penalty. Clarence Williams, and he is bombed hard by mean Joe Green, number 75. Quite in contrast to that tackle made by Green, and something we missed earlier, but we'd like to relate to you. There was a poignant scene at the start of the game when the Chargers and Steeler captains met for the toss of the coin. Rolf Bernishka, who was suffering from Cronin's disease and actually walked very slowly and does not look well. He's not a well man. Went out as one of the honorary captains, and Joe Green of the Steelers applauded him as he came out to the center of the field for the toss of the coin. A lot of class in that man. 2nd and 9. Klein in motion. Clarence Williams in the flat. Gets away from Jack Cameron. He's out to the 50 and a first down at the Pittsburgh 48.
Dick, that's the kind of control passing that Fouts has used so successfully this year. Taking advantage of the catching ability of his backs, turning them loose against linebackers, giving them options. It's a very complicated offense. There are some of the numbers for the Charger offense. They're first in the NFL in passing. They're 26th in the NFL in rushing. And yet they rank, I think, what, second or third in overall offense.
But in many ways, passes like that are really like the old end sweeps. It's just getting the back outside.
It's just, instead of handing it off, you're throwing it to the man, but you're putting him in a position to run the football.
Nice block by Artie Owens on that last play. This is Clarence Williams on the ground at the 45, and J.T. Thomas wrestles him down at the 43. Other scores: Minnesota leading Detroit in the fourth quarter 14-7. Kansas City takes the early lead against Oakland 7-0. Denver leads early at San Francisco 3-0. New Orleans and Seattle are tied at 7 in the first, and Houston leads Cincinnati 7-0 early in the game.
Rocky Blair can't be too happy about the fumble, but he is one of the fine people in the NFL, and one we enjoy having a chance to visit with whenever we happen to do a Steeler game.
Second down 4 at the 42. Make that the 43 of the Steelers. Lydell Mitchell in motion. It's Williams again. Not much there. May have gotten to the 42. Donnie Shell, 31, came up from his strong safety slot to make another tackle. Noel Blunt there as well. Shell, an All-Pro last year and only his 6th year in the NFL out of South Carolina State, continues to play outstanding back line in that Pittsburgh defense.
Seems to get better all the time. He's always been a very aggressive and a very hard-hitting player. In fact, his nickname is Torpedo, and he got that on special teams. He's one that'll take you on anywhere.
3rd and 3 for Dan Fouts and the Chargers. It's a long 3.
Everybody up. Blitz coming. Here it is.
They pick it up well, and it's over. They can't quite get to the football, because that's one of the advantages of that full blitz. You have to throw a perfect pass, usually while falling on your back. And even though Owens was behind the secondary, the ball didn't get to him.
You go all out with a blitz like that, Dick, you've got to get to that quarterback, because he's one-on-one with his receivers. Dirt Winston that time blitzing very aggressively, but watch him as he simply cannot get through there. There are about 7 or 8 players coming hard. Beautiful blocking on the inside. That's Doug Wilkerson, number 63, and he stood him up and gave him a little pop in the chin to boot. Fine blocking by the Charger offensive lineman.
Theo Bell at the 10 is Jeff West. Delivers it high. Fair catch. Lets it bounce. And it's down to the 5-yard line. It might have hit his leg.
Yes.
Chargers think it hit him. Let's see what the officials say.
Well,
yes, it belongs to the Chargers. It did hit Bell's leg.
what a break. We said at the top of the game that the San Diego Chargers were going to rely on their passing attack. They were going to hope for some big plays from special teams and some mistakes from the Steelers. They have had both. That's number 63, Tom Dornbrook. And boy, you can't afford to make that kind of mistake. Got down, was thinking about helping on the blocking. The ball just kicked up against his leg. It, of course, then is automatically a free ball. And the Chargers alertly pounced on it. They've got a marvelous opportunity on the 7-yard line. And let's see what happens here. You can see it right here. The ball hits the left leg of number 63, Tom Dornbrook. Ball coming down, bouncing right there. See it right there. Low in your picture on the left-hand side. The ball bounced away then and was recovered. You know, this is a place where most teams run. Let's see the Chargers. They love to throw the ball down here. Let's see what they do with it, Dick.
First and goal at the 7-yard line. 6 times the ball has been turned over, and we're not out of the first quarter yet. 7-0 San Diego. On the ground, Hank Bauer. A yard at best. Joe Green said, Jack Ham there as well.
Looking down at Coryell's reaction, we may not see that play anymore. He does not have much patience, as we said, with the running attack. Would far rather rely on the part of the game that he is most confident with, the passing game. And there go the passers into the game.
That's right. Out come a couple of the big guys, the tight ends, and in go Jefferson and Joyner. Ball at the 6, 2nd and goal. Don Coryell back to his days at Whittier when his team led the small colleges in passing through San Diego State. The Cardinals, he's always loved to get that ball in the air. Joyner starts one way and reverses his field. And Fouts looking. 3 throws for Williams, intercepted and dropped. Ham had it for a moment, and his own teammate Thomas may have helped dislodge it from his grasp.
Those of you watching at home may wonder why you would send a man in motion and bring him back. But actually what they're trying to do is isolate one-on-one on the coverage, and they'll do a lot of shifting around that way. Fouts trying to loft this one over the top. Watch right here. Some beautiful ball reaction by the Steelers. Ham gets a piece of it right there. Thomas gets a piece of it. The ball bounces away.
Actually, there were two receivers there together. I don't think the Chargers wanted that. Klein led his man right over to where Williams' man was covering him. It's now 3rd and goal at the 6. Chargers haven't converted 1 of 4 chances, but they don't get one either as Lambert comes up with the interception. It was intended for Charlie Joyner. Jack Lambert picks it off, and we'll see whether or not he was in the end zone or at the 1-yard line.
Well, if his momentum carries him in and he's inside the 2, they'll mark it there. But Lambert kind of stopped and then went into the end zone. They're going to bring it, mark it just inside the 1-yard line, and they'll start right here. You see him? He could have stopped to come out, but he carried it into the end zone. Another quick look at it from a different angle, right down in the pits. The pass thrown badly on that occasion, and this is a place that the Chargers have had trouble inside that 20-yard line.
They get a break in that the ball is down at the 1-yard line. Jack Lambert, as you can see, he leads all the National Football League linebackers this year with 6 thefts, and he's playing with a very painful dislocated shoulder injury that has healed somewhat. Timeout. Pittsburgh trailing has the football. They've stopped the Chargers at the 1-yard line. 40
play is to give you a little room. I wouldn't be surprised to see Bradshaw come back and throw the football here.
2nd and 8 from the 3. Randy Grossman in motion. Harris gets to the 5-yard line. It'll be 3rd down and 6. Gary Johnson from Grambling. Wilbur Young of William Penn of Iowa made the tackle. The gun sounds, and that's the end of the first quarter at sold-out San Diego Stadium. The Chargers 7, the Steelers nothing, and we'll be right back after these messages from your local station.
This is Brian Gumble in New York. In Washington, D.C. today, the Redskins sacked the Cowboy quarterbacks 6 times, forced 5 turnovers, and picked off 3 passes. A great day for the defense. The Redskins a winner 34-20. They are now tied with the Dallas Cowboys at 8-4 atop the NFC East. Let's go back to San Diego and Dick Enberg.
Thank you, Bryant. So the Cowboys have lost 2 in a week, and they have to come right back and play the Houston Oilers on Thursday, Thanksgiving. And we'll be at Texas Stadium. The Cowboys suddenly find themselves in a must-win spot, Merlin.
Well, and the Houston Oilers, I'm sure, are anxious to get a shot at them on Thursday, Dick.
Bragging rights in Texas. We open the second quarter, and Franco Harris is wrapped up at the 7-yard line by Big Hands Johnson again. He's had a sterling first half, and the Steelers are going to have to punt it away. A first quarter that featured 7 turnovers, Pittsburgh 4 and San Diego 3, and the Chargers lead 7-0.
Some feeling, I'm sure, on that Charger sideline that they've got to take better advantage of those turnovers, as they have lost 2 opportunities to score by interceptions. They do have the 7-point lead. They do have an opportunity here to get good field position. Let's see how they can do with it.
Craig Colquitt has done an outstanding job. That step-and-a-half punter, and he has not been blocked, and it almost appears that all the other teams have just given up any hopes of trying to block him. Does not get a good kick away. Fuller at the 39 gambles and gets a couple of yards out of that risk at the 38-yard line. Say next Saturday on Sports World, be our pleasure to be on, as well as Merlin Olsen. Merlin will have some of the World Invitational top weightlifting champions. We'll have the legends of bowling. And for those of you who enjoy figure skating, we have some of the world's best amateur and pro. Linda Fradiani, Ty Babylonia, Randy Gardner, JoJo Starbuck. This is Terry Bradshaw. That's all next Saturday on a very special Thanksgiving, post-Thanksgiving Sports World show. Hope you'll join us.
Weightlifting, Dick, from one of the most interesting and one of the most beautiful cities in the Soviet Union, Leningrad.
Dan Fouts and the Chargers. First down at the Pittsburgh 38-yard line. Mike Thomas in motion, number 22, and Fouts right back to throw the football. Incomplete at the 30, intended for Charlie Joyner. So Fouts is now 3 for 12, and he came into the game 62%. And that was the best in the National Football League. So the Steelers have done a good job of covering his receivers. He's had pretty good time.
He has had time to throw, and it surprises me because usually if you give him time, he throws the ball very accurately. But it appears today that he is forcing the ball a little bit, Dick. He's throwing to some receivers who are well covered, and maybe all his receivers are covered, but he has forced some passes today.
Second down 10 at the Pittsburgh 38. Chargers lead 7-0. Opening minute of the second quarter. Fouts again to Joyner. And he's all the way to the 17-yard line. Johnson saved the touchdown.
One of the things you have to do if you're going to have a passing attack is to protect your quarterback. Watch L.C. Greenwood coming from the outside. He lined up off the ball, I think, trying to let him think he was going to stunt. But right there, that's number 22, Mike Thomas, doing a good job of just bumping him. And I'll tell you, the quarterback hangs onto the ball that long, he's going to get a shot. He took one right there, and there's a penalty that's an even worse shot to the San Diego Chargers here as they're going to march the ball back 10 yards.
Ineligible receiver downfield for San Diego.
Illegal receiver downfield, number 56 on the offense. Still second down.
Bob Rush, the center, had drifted downfield.
Well, I don't think he went down there to catch a pass. He must have gone down there blocking. But that really cost them because they had penetrated way down deep in Steeler territory. You know, it's interesting that the Chargers have made it look easy moving the ball against this Steeler defense. They've had 4 great weeks back to back. 7 points, 3 points, 7 points, and 3 points, averaging less than a touchdown in 4 games. The Chargers have done well against them today.
7-0. Fouts on 2nd and 20. Throwing long for Joyner. It's made a fingernail catch at the 5-yard line. He was isolated on Jack Lambert. Now that shows you the talent of Lambert, trying to stay with Joyner, and he was 45 yards downfield.
Well, you try and get those mismatches, and the Chargers are very good at it. They run such a complexity of offensive formations and motion. The ball in the air. Let's just watch the end of it here as Lambert tries to break it up on Joyner. Joyner had the back of the football and almost held on to it. Boy, that would have been an amazing catch.
Had he not fallen as he had the back end of the ball, he'd have caught it, but had no way to protect himself from the blow as he hit the ground. Now it's 3rd and 20 at the Pittsburgh 48-yard line. 3 wide receivers, Jefferson and Joyner, are now joined by Johnny Floyd, who had a big catch last week against Cincinnati. That's Clarence Williams, short yardage to the 44, a gain of 5. Dennis Winston made the hit. You saw him on NFL 79 today. Some of these backup Steelers who have played prominent roles and have won jobs as starters, Winston being one of those.
On the inside on that time, Dick, Green had tried to penetrate, but the Charger offensive linemen are just taking the Steelers directly on the line of scrimmage. Watch him here. He tries to get inside. Now they've got a stunt coming. L.C. Greenwood, 68. See him coming around the outside? Joe had a hold of Rush. Had he held him just a little bit longer, they might have had a little bit more pressure on Fouts.
Fair catch by Bell, and he grabs this one himself. Not going to take any chances on that one, bouncing around and hitting a teammate's leg. Now the Chargers had recovered fumbles at the 20 and again at the 7 of Pittsburgh. Could not score on either occasion. So early in the second quarter, it's still San Diego 7, Pittsburgh nothing. All right, Brian, a possible upset there, and Oakland has fallen behind Kansas City 10-0. This might be one of those Sundays in the NFL.
It's a strange one. Right here, the San Diego Chargers are kicking themselves for not taking advantage of the many opportunities they've had in this first half of this ball game.
Bradshaw on first down, over the middle for Harris, and he makes a fine catch at the 40-yard line. Franco Harris using his bulk to ward off the defender and made the catch around the shoe tops against Bob Horn.
Bradshaw, one of those quarterbacks in the NFL who has the ability to run with the football when he wants a little extra time. Rolls away from the rush. But the secret of success on this particular play is a great catch by 32 Franco Harris. Literally scoops that one up off the ground after ducking it back at number 55 Bob Horn. That's a super play.
Sun setting in the west here in beautiful San Diego as Chuck Noll and his assistants watch Bradshaw. First down play from the 40. He's going long for John Stallworth. And it's incomplete. A well-timed tackle by the Chargers, Glenn Edwards, because Stallworth was the one man in position to catch the ball.
It would appear that the Steelers have changed their offensive approach to this game. They came out rather conservatively, ran the football. Now I think they've just opened it up. Stallworth waited as long as he could to reach for that football. Didn't want to tip Edwards that it was coming, but when he finally reached, Edwards unloaded.
Looked as if Edwards, who had his back to the play, was watching the hands of Stallworth and timed his move to hit his right hand right where Stallworth was to get the ball, and it worked for the veteran and ex-Steeler.
Well, you saw two things. Stallworth waiting to reach for the ball. A lot of inexperienced receivers will stick their arms out earlier tipped that defender off, but good play on both sides. Excellent play by Edwards, the defensive back.
2nd and 10 from the 40. Bradshaw to Harris with flags flying all over the stadium. And Harris out to the 50-yard line in the grasp of Bob Horn and Willie Buchanan. Holding against the Steelers.
The official not only gave a holding call, he said it's a tackling. He wrapped the arms right around. Bradshaw was concerned about the pressure that this San Diego defense has been able to put on quarterbacks. As I said, they play the pass first.
Now
Number 72 on the offense.
That's Jerry Mullins, Moon Mullins, the right guard.
But nullifying penalties. We're having a little trouble with a microphone carried by Mr. Cashin, a wireless mic. But nullifying penalties, both sides were holding that time.
Well, it's a break for the Steelers. The call against the Steelers against Preston for holding on the tight end right there on Benny Cunningham as he goes by. You can see the hand right there. One up and one down.
He's going to disrobe it.
He just said, hey, I got you.
So no play. It's 2nd and 10 for Bradshaw at his own 40, trailing 7-0. Harris with another catch and down immediately after a gain of 3. Bob Horn made the tackle. Bradshaw, all of his completions thus far have been to his backs. He has not hit either Cunningham, his tight end, or Stallworth, nor Swan yet. In fact, he's not thrown one in Swan's direction. Might be about the time.
The San Diego Charger defense employs a philosophy of dropping those linebackers deep, and they do give you some room between the on-rushing defensive linemen and the linebackers. And Bradshaw trying to take advantage of that, but so far they've been coming up very quickly to put those receivers on the ground.
Veteran from Louisiana Tech, Terry Bradshaw at 3rd and 7. Flyer pass was a little too low, and the reason was that Bradshaw was being rushed off his feet by Fred Dean, number 71.
Big matchup on that side between Fred Dean, who is the premier rusher for these Chargers, and number 55, John Cogue. Dean getting the best of that one, really unloaded on Bradshaw. And as you said, Dick, forced that early pass, ball delivered low, and Rocky Blair unable to hang on to it.
Mike Fuller, in his career with the Chargers, an excellent punt returner, averaging nearly 12 yards for some 180 returns, stands at the San Diego 22 as Colquitt will kick from about his 35.
A lot of shifting going on.
He doesn't hit that one very well. Fuller at the 26 and gets a yard right into the grasp of 30 Larry Anderson, but it was Dwayne Woodruff, 49, who was down there first. Timeout here in San Diego. 11 minutes remaining in the first half. The Chargers holding on to their 7-0 lead. Nick Enberg, Merlin Olsen back at San Diego Stadium, where the Chargers lead the Steelers 7-0. The only score of the game coming on a 16-yard touchdown pass from Dan Fouts to John Jefferson. Steelers have been held basically in check, but their own turnovers have cost them field position. Chargers have turned it back 3 times after they've gotten it 4 from Pittsburgh. After the punt, Fouts has the ball, 27-yard line, San Diego territory. Clarence Williams gets a yard to the 28-yard line. Joe Green made the tackle.
Good pursuit from the inside by Joe Green. They said last week, Chuck Knowles said that Green had the best game that he's had in several years. Certainly playing the run better at this stage than he has in a long while.
Stallworth getting new cleats on his shoes. Of course, the Steelers, accustomed to playing on the carpet most of the year, this is only the 2nd time and the last time in the regular season they'll play on the natural grass. San Diego feels it's to their advantage to be on the turf. No gain on that play. 2nd and 10 for Fouts. Open is Jefferson. Complete at the 35-yard line. Tackle immediately by Donnie Shell. And again, despite the stunt by the Steelers, the blockers in front of Fouts did an excellent job of protecting him.
I think the fact that this San Diego line has only permitted 18 sacks on the year, and if you think about the number of attempts that Fouts has made, and the fact that he is not a mobile quarterback, he sets short, he demands great protection, and he has gotten it from this offensive line.
3rd and less than 3 at the 35-yard line. See Pittsburgh leading and protecting the quarterback, but Bradshaw, of course, gets himself out of trouble too. So when you look at those numbers, you might give San Diego a little heavier nod. Under pressure, it is complete to Joyner, and he has the first down at the 40. in a crowd. Joyner picked that one off with Lambert right around his ankles.
Some acrobatic receivers on the San Diego Charger team. Fouts is under pressure here. Joe Green driving hard. You see 75 coming up the middle, breaking the pocket. Fouts steps up, eludes the rush, gets the ball off. Fine catch by the money receiver Joyner. He breaks around the outside, gets another yard or so. Going to be 1st and 10 on the 40-yard line.
Joyner having a great season. That's his 49th catch this year. Fouts on 1st down from the 40-yard line. Scrambles. And Lambert, oh, he was salivating. He saw a quarterback like Fouts on the run, and Lambert couldn't wait.
I think he likes running less than interceptions.
From San Diego, we pause briefly for station identification. This is the NBC Television Network.
Champion long jumper Henry Hines Wednesday on the Guinness Game on KNBC Los Angeles.
Fouts with a scramble, and 58 was waiting for him.
58 was anxious to get his hands on Fouts. Watch him. He really does not want to run. Joe Green forcing him right there. Green just barely missing the sack. And Fouts says, oh, no, I don't want to go up in there. But he does it. Greenwood coming over to help with the tackle.
A loss of about a half a yard. 2nd down and 10. Open is Jefferson. 50. And still in play to the 30-yard line goes John Jefferson. He refused to go out of bounds. The man from outer space with those goggles, John Jefferson, and he plays sometimes as if he was from another planet.
The secret of this pass, Dick, though, is the ball is unloaded well ahead of the cut. Fouts had to get it off. He anticipated the move beautifully, put it out there. It's almost impossible to cover a receiver when the ball is there when he makes his cut. Jefferson doing a good job of dancing down that sideline. Pays for it right there. Johnson really unloaded on him.
1st down at the 29-yard line of Pittsburgh. San Diego leads 7-0 with 8.5 minutes left in the 1st half. Fouts again to throw. A flag is down. Incomplete to Mike Thomas, 22. It may be that Joyner headed upfield before the snap. You saw him come in motion, turn, and then go back upfield.
When you're running that much motion and that many shifting and that many shifts and that many complicated formations, you do tend to make a few mistakes, and that does create a problem. On that particular play, it will be a well, you almost have to take the choice. Do we take the down away from them, or do we take the yardage? It would be 2nd and 10 or 1st and 15 against a passing quarterback like Fouts. You're almost tempted to take the yardage.
Illegal motion. Number 18 on the offense. Penalty is declined. It's 2nd down.
2nd down and 10 as Joyner did head upfield prematurely. Charlie from Grambling, he was teamed with James Harris. Passing combination at that school, and Harris the backup quarterback to Dan Fouts, and had some big years with the Los Angeles Rams. Joyner right, Jefferson left, tight end Klein on the left side. 2nd and 10, and the Steelers, well, they gave the look of the big rush. Flags down, caught by Joyner, but I believe we're going to have holding against San Diego. Jack Cam there to down Joyner.
We certainly have had a lot of penalties. Penalty, as you said, for holding against these San Diego Chargers, and they have been frustrated in their attempt to get down the field. Joe Green trotting off the field. Maybe we can spot the holding in there. Might be on Banaszak right there in the middle. Looks like Fouts really has quite a bit of time. Dances around, gets the ball up. Good catch by Joyner. Now watch Joyner. He has great respect from his peers in the league because of his intelligent approach here. Sees his quarterback in trouble, comes back toward the football. That's the mark of a fine receiver. Takes it, cradles it on the ground, but all for naught because of the penalty.
Holding number 67 on the offense.
Veteran Ed White, the right guard, guilty of the hold. Yes, sir, that Joyner, the quintessence of a pro. They compliment him, his teammates, his coaches. He works hard in games, but it's easy to do that. He works even harder in practice, and as an 11-year veteran, he's an inspiration to the younger players, says his coach Don Coryell.
He's been a real boost to John Jefferson, has really helped him in his progress as a wide receiver.
2nd and 20 from the Steeler 39. Good protection. Fouts down the side of Jefferson. Out of bounds at the 6. How did that one get over J.T. Thomas? Or was it Blunt, 47?
Blunt just misjudged the football. He's in an area down there of shadow and sunlight, and I think he just flat misjudged the football. Watch Fouts here. Watch the long arm fake that froze. That froze Blunt right there. Now the throw. Now watch the jump right here. He jumps. The ball just missed his hands. He simply misjudged it. And John Jefferson, isolated here. Let's watch him work. You see the bump right there. Now Blunt going down I think he was frozen by that long action, jumped up and misjudged the football, and Jefferson took it down.
He appeared to jump too soon. Merlin was coming back down. The ball went over his hands. First and goal, 6-yard line. Jefferson and Fouts having a big first half. Clarence Williams gets nowhere. In South Carolina, where he teamed with Kevin Long, New York Jets. Jets, the best rushing team in the National Football League. Chargers not quite so successful. This telecast, presented by Authority, National Football League, is intended for the private use of our audience. Any rebroadcast or other use of this telecast without the express written consent of the San Diego Chargers and the National Football League is prohibited.
Denver's just taking the lead in their ball game, Dick.
10-7 against the 49ers second quarter. Denver and San Diego tied for first in the West with 8-3 records. Second and goal. Fouts to throw. Bob Klein pushed off.
Oh, and he got away with
off, and there's no flag. Touchdown, San Diego.
The San Diego Chargers spent about 30 minutes a day during this entire week working on the offense inside the 20-yard line. And I don't think they worked on this kind of tricks, but Bobby Klein, experienced tight end that he is going to use a little bit of a bump to get away here. You see him coming across your picture there, and he's just reached back and pushed the defender away, gave himself some room. Donnie Shell couldn't stay with him after the bump, and Shell is saying, hey, didn't you see that? Did you miss that? Smart play, though. Sometimes you get away with it.
Mike Wood connects on the extra point, and the Chargers lead 14-0. We'll see if we can get another angle on that touchdown to see Klein using his hands and then his hands to get 7 points. 6:29 remain in the first half in San Diego, where the Chargers now lead it 14-0. It is an exceptional show. Next Saturday, Sports World. Bowling, weightlifting, and some of the top figure skating exhibitions you'd ever want to see. The Chargers here in San Diego lead 14-0 with 6.5 minutes remaining. Wood sends it deep, and touchback taken by Larry Anderson. Now the Steelers, trailing 14-0, have the ball at the 20. Let's check the scores. These are games in progress. Oh, a final just in. Minnesota has defeated the Detroit Lions 14-7. They scored in the final minute. Ricky Young, a 2-yard run. Kansas City ahead of Oakland 10-0, looking for an upset. Second quarter, San Francisco has just gone back ahead of Denver 14-10. Tampa Bay leads the Giants 7-0 second period. And Seattle with a 17-14 lead against New Orleans second quarter. First down play, Rocky Bleier gets 7 yards out to the 27. Fred Dean and Woody Lowe finally made the tackle, and you saw the patience of the veteran Bleier. He stayed behind his blocker till he saw a little daylight and got good yardage.
Bleier does not have great speed, not blinding speed, but does have the ability to stay with his receiver or with his blockers and to pick his hole very smartly, and ends up being a very capable and effective weapon as a running back. Watch him right here on Sam Davis's hip, number 57. Davis does a good job on number 42, Fuller, and Rocky just dips inside, makes a fine gain.
Franco Harris, inside trap, has a first down, but he also draws a flag. We'll check that penalty. It appears to be a hooking call, holding against Pittsburgh.
I can't remember seeing the Steelers as heavily penalized as they have been in this ball game. And although we didn't see that game in which they had all the turnovers against Cincinnati, this game has got to be reminding Chuck Noll of that disaster. And in talking to some of the coaches from the Pittsburgh Steelers, they said that was a humiliating game for them, but it did put them in perspective.
number 57 on the offense.
Sam Davis on the hold. Well, you'll see the Oilers and the Cowboys Thanksgiving Day from Texas Stadium. Let's check on the Oilers. They lead Cincinnati 21-7 in the second quarter. Of course, that game of import to the Steelers, who lead Houston by only one game coming into this one. And they trail 14-0. Second down, a long 12 for Bradshaw. 3 wide receivers in, and it's Harris up the middle. That didn't fool the Chargers. Young and Johnson, the 2 tackles right there, along with Leroy Jones, number 68. There's Mrs. Leroy Jones. Leroy from Norfolk State, played Canadian League at Edmonton 3 years. The Rams acquired him and then traded him here to San Diego in 1976.
I think they'd like to have him back. He's played exceptional football, has done a great job here for the San Diego Chargers. And the Pittsburgh Steelers just can't seem to get on track offensively.
3rd and 11. 3 wide receivers in, both Stallworth and Swan to the left. Bradshaw gets away. Intercepted. It's Preston again, his second. To the 30. He's running like a fullback. 20. 10. Out of bounds. Jerry Mullins saved the touchdown, and Ray Preston running like a halfback. Now, we told you about Preston having a great year. He's beaten out Don Good at that linebacker spot, and that's his 5th interception of the year. He also leads the team in tackles.
Well, and more importantly, his 2nd interception today. Watch Bradshaw now. Bradshaw does a magnificent job of getting away from Fred Dean right here. Leaps aside, gets away from the rush. That's actually Johnson that he gets away from, but then makes the mistake of throwing into the coverage. 2 defenders right on the spot. No chance for him. That's Jim Smith he was trying to hit, number 86. And Preston says, hey, come on, guys, you block, I'll carry this football. Fine speed, gets away right there from Webster. And a big play coming across Mullins, puts him out of bounds. But the Chargers are on the 2.5-yard line. They want another touchdown.
Bouts asking the crowd to settle down. Oh, Matthews. Touchdown. Well, they've waited a long time in San Diego for a game this big, and the Chargers are playing up to it.
Dick, I suppose it's ironic that the last time these Chargers went to the playoffs, an assistant coach on that staff in 1965 was Chuck Noll. And Noll, of course, went on to build the great Steeler teams. And now they're waiting to have their chance. It looks today like they're proving themselves capable of going on into those playoffs and handling the best of the best.
1 play, 2 yards for the touchdown. Mike Wood hits the extra point. Let's see that touchdown again as Bo Matthews, his 2nd effort, gets the score. His 1st touchdown of the season.
Matthews, the only genuine big back of this San Diego team, and he's going to show you some real power running here. Takes a hit there, a 2nd from J.T. Thomas, a 3rd right there. Would not be denied that goal line.
Oh, the Steelers, with 4.5 minutes remaining in the first half, find themselves down by 3 touchdowns.
Brian Gumble in New York reporting that in San Francisco, the 49ers have gone ahead of the Broncos. Here's how they did it on a kickoff. James Owens, 49ers #1 pick, a rookie out of UCLA, takes it right up the gut. Owens takes it 85 yards through the Bronco defense for a touchdown. San Francisco goes out in front of Denver 14-10. The 1-10 49ers bring the surprise. Back to San Diego and Dick Enberg.
Thank you, Bryant. Those reports added special on NBC as we try to not only keep you abreast of the scores, but the highlights of those games from NFL 79. The Chargers 21, Pittsburgh nothing. Right toward you, a line drive kick by Wood, and that ball is bouncing for San Diego today. The Steelers, with 4.5 minutes left in the first half, trail 21-0. Oh, this is a very important, emotional possession for Pittsburgh, is it not, Merlin?
Certainly is, Dick. And one thing you've got to know about Pittsburgh, looking across, there's no panic on the Pittsburgh sideline. Some definite concern and some shock. They would not have believed that they could be down 21-0 in this ball game. But they are, and a good deal of it hinged on their own mistakes and their own inability to get their offense moving. Bradshaw needs to do it here. I think they'll pull out all the stops.
Bradshaw comes out throwing on first down. Hits Blyer 25, 30. And Blyer at the 33 fumbled, but after he was down. Ray Preston made the tackle. He was assisted by Mike Williams. Well, very special Little House feature tonight on NBC. We hope you'll be with us. Those of you watching in the East, the Midwest, right after the conclusion of this game, a 3-year special, a 3-hour special of the many years of Little House on the Prairie, followed by Tom Snyder primetime Sunday, and then of course Little House again tomorrow night, and Bob Hope special after that. So you're going to see all of the friendly folks.
Dick, that's the Ingalls family in their first 3 years, and a chance to watch Laura and Mary and Carrie all grow up. A beautiful show, one I'm sure you'll enjoy.
Now get the whole family together, you folks, and watch it tonight. Blyer, incomplete ball behind him, coverage by Woody Lowe, 51, from the University of Alabama. There, Bryant's team, unbeaten, looking ahead now to final regular season game. Let's check the statistics on Terry Bradshaw. He has thrown the ball 11 times, 5 complete. He's yet to hit Swan, Stallworth, or Cunningham with a completion.
He's thrown exclusively to his backs, and the problem with being down 21-0 is that the defensive line can ignore the running game. They can just open up and come right after you. It's difficult to find time against a good rushing defense when you're down 21-0.
Bradshaw to Blyer. No hole. Gets to the 35, maybe 2. Don Good, number 50. Met the play well.
He was stopped by number 50, Don Good.
San Diego Stadium, you see all those yellow T-shirts that spell out Charger Power, and they've generated a lot of support for their home team today. There were tickets. You always hear the stories of scalping and how much a ticket to a sellout is worth, but there was a report that a pair was going for as high as $500 here in San Diego this week.
Well as the Chargers have done today, I'm sure there are fans here who wouldn't trade you those tickets for $500.
Wilbur Young and Steve Corson involved there before the snap.
Bob Horn, number 55, middle linebacker for the Chargers, came off the field. He'd broken his shoulder pads. They're working on him down there to get him put back together. And of course, the Chargers would be replacing several linebackers, going to that looks like a penalty has been rolled off against Pittsburgh. Chargers, of course, in a long yardage situation, 3rd and 8, would go automatically to situation defense, to extra defensive backs and linebackers on the play.
Greg Hawthorne, number 27, has been sent in by Chuck Noll. He's the #1 draft pick out of Baylor by the Steelers. Good pass receiver, good size and speed. He wears number 27. And they've got Stallworth and Swan both going left. Swan in the slot, Smith right, and Hawthorne and Harris behind Bradshaw. 3rd and 13. Flags down again. Bradshaw running room, looking for a first down, gets to the 43, and that's going to be close, and he pays for it.
Well, we'll have to check the penalty. It looked to me like he would be marked just short of that first down, but we've got to first find out. Ooh, and somebody stayed down. Is that Bradshaw still on the ground? No, it's a Charger. Oh, the Charger's still down.
Penalty is against San Diego. Don Good is the injured Charger.
Good has had some shoulder problems.
Bradshaw not all that well either as he gets up limping. Appears that Good blowing the helmet, applying some smelling salts. That was quite a collision. Let's check to see just how Good became engaged in that final blow.
Terry Bradshaw had only run 3 times intentionally on the year. Normally during a season he would run as many as 25, 30, and 40 times. But he has to run here. Pressure coming at him. He pulls it down, goes for the first down. And let's watch Don Good come in from the side there. Gets a shot actually from his own man. And it looked like it was on the shoulder and the neck area. He is still on the ground, although he's sitting up now. And up on his feet. That's good. He's now coming off the field.
Don played his football at Kansas, now in his 6th year after being picked in the 1st round by the Chargers in '74. He had a dislocated shoulder in the preseason this year, and so off to a slow start, and appears to be a wrist or a hand that really bothers him most as he comes on.
There's Dirt Winston. Winston, as we said, has had a great season in the latter parts of it here. When he got a chance to start, couldn't get Cole and Taves back into the lineup because of the kind of football he was playing. He'd like to be doing a better job right now.
Good going to the locker room. The penalty was against San Diego. Bradshaw did not have the first down on the rush, so they take the 5 yards. It's 3rd down and 8 for Bradshaw. Incomplete to Cunningham. Covered by 45 Hal Stringer. And the Steelers, with 2:46 remaining in the half, going to have to give up the football.
Looks to me like that sun is creating some problems down there. We have sun and shade areas. We saw the misjudging of a pass earlier by Mel Blount. And of course, that's one of the advantages of playing in your home stadium. You're used to having those shadows. You know where they are, and it doesn't bother you as much. I think the shadows on that particular case also bothered the receiver. He did not come down with the football. They've got to kick it away.
Mike Fuller back for San Diego at the 26 is Colquitt, who has not kicked well in this first half. It's another short one. Fuller at the 31. Oh, good tackle by Robin Cole at the 36-yard line. Cole from New Mexico met him smartly. Merlin and I invite you to join us for a Thanksgiving Day special from Texas Stadium. The Oilers against the Cowboys, 3:30 Eastern Time. Earl Campbell, Dan Pastorini, and that Houston club, and they're certainly very much involved in this game as well as their own today. They conceivably could be in a tie for first place going into Dallas, and the Cowboys trying to rebound from losses to Philadelphia and Washington. Roger Staubach, Tom Landry try to cook up some offense. That'll be Thanksgiving Day, Thursday, here on NBC. 2:36 left in the half. Outs on the ground to Lydell Mitchell. Flag down again. Tackle made at, no, it's Mike Thomas. Thomas, not Mitchell. And we'll check the flag.
It's against the Chargers, I would suppose, for moving before the. There it is, illegal motion.
Well, that helps Pittsburgh in that it stops the clock. And for the Steelers along the sidelines, hoping to get one more possession before the half, at least offers some promise in that regard. But it's 21-0 San Diego as we approach halftime, and the Steelers just have not had any offense.
Interesting, perhaps, that they would come into this game after putting together
on the offense, still first down.
After putting together 4 excellent games back to back. Get a chance to listen to Chuck Noll. Well, I'd like to be part of that conversation. We would like to let you hear it too.
1st and 15. Artie Owens wrapped up as he gets to the line of scrimmage at the 28-yard line. 2:21. Let's see if Pittsburgh uses a timeout here or lets it run all the way to the 2-minute warning. They're going to let it go all the way. So the Chargers take benefit of about 25 seconds. They do not need to run a play. And Fouts comes to the sideline anticipating the 2-minute warning. It's now down to 2:04, 2:03. Official 2-minute timeout. Now 120 seconds left for Don Coryell and Dan Fouts as they discuss strategy. They're in the catbird seat. 21-0 Chargers. Dick Enberg and Merlin Olsen in San Diego. At the start of the game, we talked about San Diego trying to generate some offense with that one-dimension passing attack, but the Steelers the best offensive team in football, and yet Pittsburgh has gained only 91 total yards in the half.
It has not been a good half. We also said that if San Diego was going to win, they need a little help from Pittsburgh. They needed some turnovers, and they also needed to have an opportunity to make some big plays on special teams. All of those things have happened for San Diego. For a while, they did not take advantage of the opportunities, and this game has to remind us a great deal of the game that Pittsburgh lost, that shocking loss to Cincinnati, a game in which there were 9 turnovers. They fumbled the ball away 7 times, had 2 interceptions. Well, much like that today. Let's see if the game continues on that track.
2 minutes left, 2nd down. Long as Artie Owens trying to duck outside, but Mel Blount can't bring him down. And does he go out of bounds Owens. Yes, he does. The Steelers trying to bump Owens out of the field of play. That stops the clock with 1:53 remaining. Pittsburgh has its timeouts all intact, 3 left. And it's now 3rd down and call it 6. All the highlights and scores, a complete recap for you. NFL 79. Bryant and Mike waiting for you at halftime. And the latest from San Francisco with 1:42 left in the first half. 49ers have scored again and lead Denver 21-10. 21-10 San Francisco over Denver just before halftime. Draw. Clarence Williams, first down out to the 45, and the Chargers just refuse to give up the football.
In the early part of this half, Dick, it appeared that the Pittsburgh offense was just sluggish and perhaps conservative, wasn't getting anything going. The defense played aggressively. It looks to have affected the defense. They're playing very sluggishly. You just can't afford to give up a first down in that situation. You've got to get a chance at that ball and try and get some points on the board before the half. Kind of play that's not going to sit well with George Perlis, the defensive coach.
Now Fouts figures, well, maybe I'll get some more points. Flips it out in the flat to Williams, and he's hit immediately at the 45 and pushed back by Ron Johnson. Yeah, that first down on 3rd down not only took away the opportunity for the Steelers to try to get something before halftime, but now with field position at the 45, Fouts may figure 21 isn't enough before the intermission.
Well, I think Coryell was willing to settle for that 21-point lead. I think more than settled for it. He's very happy about it. But as you say, now Fouts has some more downs to work with. He's not that far away from field goal territory. Mike Wood has a good leg.
Fouts on 2nd down. Steve Furness drops him back at the 35-yard line. Fouts not going to take any chance in coughing up the football. Took the sack. 37 seconds remaining, and Pittsburgh spends a timeout.
That's the first sack of the day for the Steelers. They have not gotten the kind of pressure on Dan Fouts that they hope to get today.
Well, there's a timeout in San Diego. The Chargers lead 21-0. 33 seconds remaining in the half. Preceding announcement furnished as a public service by the National Football League, and nicely done by Dan Fouts, whose father, Bob, had a chance to chat with him before the game today. Not only proud, but you'll recall him as the voice of the 49ers back in the 50s and 60s on network television. Of course, Dan then had an opportunity to sit on the bench of the 49ers. He gives it to Mike Thomas. Out to the 42-yard line. That's far short of the first down. Jack Ham made the tackle. Clock running 24 seconds, and now Pittsburgh calls a time. I asked Father Fouts, Bob, about Dan as a youth. I said, did he have any heroes? And he said, well, John Brody was one, but he really tried to copy John Unitas. And isn't it ironic that Fouts, when he then came here with the Chargers, had a chance to be a teammate of the great Unitas and learn from his former hero.
The one thing that's certainly similar, the fact that Fouts will stay in until the last second. He's not afraid to take it in the ribs or the head. He really does hang on to the football.
Next Sunday, NBC, another great doubleheader for you. First NFL 79 at 12:30. Part 2 of their examination of the knee injury in football. Cleveland, Pittsburgh, Buffalo, New England, the opening games. And then at 4 o'clock Eastern time, Oakland at Denver. Kansas City will be here in San Diego. And Miami plays at Baltimore. Doubleheader on NBC next Sunday. And, of course, we'll be with you Thanksgiving Day from Dallas as the Cowboys meet the Oilers. A 4th down kick by West, and 8 men are coming after him.
Got to be trying to block this one. Got it out.
And a good kick. All alone is Bell at the 18, 20, down at the 23. Clock stops on change of possession. 14 seconds left for Pittsburgh. Now that one first down by San Diego ate up the hopes of generating a quick touchdown for the Steelers. Now, if they're going to get anything they need, one of the big miracle plays.
You've got to feel that this whole situation seems a little unreal to the Pittsburgh Steelers. Not very many times during this year have they gone into a halftime behind, and certainly not in a game as unusual as this, except perhaps for the game in Cincinnati. And they thought that was just a bad dream. Pittsburgh fans have to be wondering if those aren't imposters out there in those black uniforms today.
Chargers are for real. And they just prove it again to Terry Bradshaw, who fumbles. Was he down? That's the first sack by the Chargers. No official gesture by the officials. And now the clock comes to an end. Apparently he was down before the fumble. So San Diego cheered off the field by the sellout crowd. They have dominated the Super Bowl champions the first 30 minutes. The score at the intermission: Chargers 21, Steelers nothing.
Welcome back to jam-packed San Diego Stadium, where the Chargers lead the Pittsburgh Steelers 21-0. We go to the second half, and the Steelers will get the football initially. Dick Enberg with Merlin Olsen. I imagine that was a most interesting discussion conducted by Chuck Noll in the Steeler locker room.
I don't think he would have to say much to that team. They're a responsible team. They're a veteran team, and they know how badly they played in that first half. A very frustrating time, especially for Terry Bradshaw. Bradshaw has thrown some bad passes during this year, but I don't think it's ever had a quarter or a half any worse than this half.
Now the Steelers will get the ball initially. Mike Wood has it teed up, ready to kick it off. Larry Anderson down at the 5-yard line for the Pittsburgh Steelers. 21-0 San Diego. It's another good kick by Wood. Anderson, who fumbled once in the first half, to the 10. The 20. And wrestled down by Hank Bauer at the 25-yard line. The importance of this game now becomes more and more evident with 4 games to follow this one in the regular season. Quickly looking at the standings, Houston is winning big at halftime. If Pittsburgh loses, the Oilers would move into a tie for first place. Cleveland, with a victory, is right back in the hunt for a playoff spot. Meanwhile, San Diego, with Denver losing by 4 at halftime at San Francisco, would have a chance to extend its lead or at least hold on to a tie for first place. So a most important game. Franco Harris gets only a couple of yards. In fact, just 2 as we go back to New York. A report from Brian Gumbel, NFL 79.
Brian Gumbel in New York reporting on an injury in Houston. Dante Pastorini suffered an eye injury in the second quarter. Back here, dropping to pass, number 73. Keep your eye on him. That is Eddie Edwards. He comes in and tries to put an arm around Pastorini. Instead, gets his hand on the face mask. Eye injury to Pastorini. He was taken to the dressing room. He has returned to the field for the second half. We're still waiting to find out if he's going to play. Let's go back to San Diego and Dick Enberg.
Thank you, Brian. Pittsburgh Steelers, a little swing pass to Harris, but he gets only 2 more. Now it's 3rd down and 6, and Harris apparently banged up on that tackle, reaching as if he may have suffered a hip injury, but okay. Franco shrugs it off, and back to the huddle he goes. So Dan Pastorini will keep you abreast of that news. That figures in this game that you'll see Thanksgiving afternoon, 3:30 Eastern Time, 12:30 in the West. The Cowboys and the Oilers. Dallas now in a 3-way tie for first place, and the Oilers trying to move into a 2-way tie with Pittsburgh for first place. 3rd and 6 for the Steelers, trailing 21-0. Incomplete, and the Chargers pick up where they left off. Bradshaw was under pressure.
Big Wilbur Young, number 99, who has about a 50-pound edge on Jerry Mullins. Drove Mullins and Webster, who had a piece of him, all the way back into Bradshaw. Forced him to get that ball out of there too early. Bradshaw unable to complete it.
Young, who said he always played on losers in high school in the Bronx. His team lost 30 in a row. He said his college team, William Penn, lost 30 in a row. He was with a big winner in the San Diego this year, and he's found a home inside a tackle. Colquitt. Fuller, fair catch. San Diego will put it in play at the 37. Fuller's upset with himself. He had a little more running room and more time than he thought. 36-yard punt. Chuck Noll, a man of dual personalities. Off the field, always quiet, low-key, cerebral, tough, distant in so many ways. But when that game begins, all of those adrenaline and blood flows that any athlete has, and he was a fine player at Dayton and with the Cleveland Browns, takes over, and he can be a tiger on the sidelines. And he can't be too happy as he faces at the start of the second half. Mike Thomas starts forward for a couple after the 39-yard line.
Dick, just glancing back at the first half, you can imagine how badly, much more badly, the Pittsburgh Steelers would have been off had they not been able to stop San Diego on 2 shots in from the 20 and the 7-yard line with interceptions. I mean, this score could be 14 points heavier on the side of the San Diego Chargers.
21-0. Dan Fouts and San Diego leads at 2nd down and 8. Flying the tight end in motion. Fouts, good protection again. Tucks it in. Greenwood picks him up at the 41. There you see the speed of defensive end All-Pro L.C. Greenwood. Caught the quarterback from behind. Greenwood, Green, Kolb, they all remain from Chuck Noll's very first draft in '69. Key player, Hollywood Greenwood. Lynn Swan, about as quiet as that pose in the first half. He got nothing. Neither did Stallworth.
That's amazing. 2 very, very productive wide receivers. They've not had a chance.
Meanwhile, Jefferson caught 5 and Joyner 1. Jefferson a big first half. Moving a touchdown. 3rd and 6. Fouts, eaten up at the 32-yard line. Over the top came 58, Jack Lambert. So Lambert, a kind of a delay, and then he charged in on the quarterback. 3rd sack for the Steelers.
Watch Lambert. He hangs on the line of scrimmage. He would have taken the back had he gone. Now gets a chance right here. Goes in behind the protection and knocks Fouts down. Fouts waiting as long as he possibly could. Waited a little too long on that play.
That was really a good study caught there by Mike Weissman, our producer. Ken Fouts, no relation to Dan, our director. You saw Lambert using his head to make a big defensive play. Jeff West kicking to Theo Bell at the 34. Has some running room now. 40, 50, and he's to the San Diego 49-yard line. So Pittsburgh, good field position. They trail 21-0. Plenty of time. 12 minutes left in the 3rd quarter. So far, that's not for our director, but for the quarterback of the Chargers. We'll be back to determine more later. Have a big night on NBC tomorrow night.
Chance to watch Little House on the Prairie and then to enjoy Bob Hope as he tours the campuses across the country.
Well, that's something I'd like to do someday. We ought to go on the road. I'd like to go to the various universities and colleges. Terry Bradshaw. Open and Stallworth, his first catch. And he's to the San Diego 23-yard line. This is the Steelers' deepest penetration of the game.
Very important at the beginning of this second half for one of these teams to determine the direction the second half is going to take. The Chargers definitely would like to maintain control. The Steelers fighting to get back into this game. If they can score here, they're
explosive enough and have a good enough defense that they can get easily back into this football game.
That yardage total leads the entire National Football League. 25 more for John Stallworth on his first catch today. Blyer out of the backfield in motion. A draw to Harris. No go. Gary Johnson playing an outstanding game. 6'2" and 247 from Grambling. A #1 draft pick of the Chargers makes another tackle. That was a great draft for San Diego in '75. They got Johnson, they got Fred Dean and Louis Kelcher, 3/4 of their defensive line. Of course, Kelcher injured this season.
Gary Johnson, nicknamed Big Hands, his hands were big enough to get a good grip on Harris's jersey, keep him from going anywhere. A lot of adrenaline still flowing on that field for these Chargers.
A loss of a yard plus. Call it 2nd and 11 for Bradshaw at the San Diego 24. Flag down, complete to Harris, who gets to the 19-yard line. They check the penalty flag. Mike Williams, number 29 from LSU, came up from the right corner to make the tackle.
Let's pass out a few bouquets to that Chargers secondary. One of the reasons Bradshaw has not been able to go to them today is that they have really done a job of coverage on the deep receivers. He's had to go to his backs more often than he would have liked.
Marlins statistics are so misleading. Mike Williams has 1 interception all year, and Willie Buchanan, the other corner, has none, and yet they played well.
Number 73 on the defense, still 2nd down.
Charles Dejournay, a little too eager to get in there. Got in ahead of the count. Given a 5-yard penalty. He's going to be second. About a little less than 7 yards to go.
Harris hitting the backfield, breaks a tackle and gets a yard or 2. And it was Gary Johnson again infiltrating the backfield of the Steelers. Bob Horn finally put the stopper on Harris. We pause briefly for station identification. This is the NBC Television Network.
Gray Davis, Browns Chief of Staff, tonight on News Conference on KNBC Los Angeles.
Dick Enberg, Merlin Olsen, San Diego Stadium. This game sold out for more than 10 weeks, and the Charger fans have not been disappointed. 21-0 San Diego. 10 minutes left, third quarter. Steelers a big third down and 4. Harris breaks the tackle, has the first down. He's at the 9-yard line. Mike Fuller dragged down Franco Harris, and the Steelers, for the first time today, are first and goal.
Number 55, Bob Horn, who's had a big day, just banging his fist into his hand. He had a piece of Franco, had him stopped. He wouldn't have had the first down. Give you a chance to look at it at home. Bradshaw back, third and about 3 yards to go. Just drops it off to Harris. Wants him to run with the football. Has the tackle right there. And Harris stepped out of the grass. Fuller gets him down, but he does have the first down, 9-yard line.
Stallworth and Swan to the left. Bradshaw looking for one of them. It is Stallworth, complete at the 2. He was at the goal line, came out to get the ball with Mike Williams making the tackle. It'll be second and goal.
Even though the Chargers have done a fine job of shutting down these wide receivers in this game, I just can't imagine being able to pick a better pair of wide receivers than Swan and Stallworth. Both are such incredible athletes. You saw some of that athletic ability on that particular play. And, of course, the 2 wide receivers leave the field as they put in the big troops to try and knock it into the end zone.
Randy Grossman is the wing on the right. Larry Brown, one of the tight ends, is the give to Blyer, skipping into the end zone for a touchdown. Blyer's third score of the year, and we'll see how big emotionally that touchdown is for the Super Bowl champs.
Something very interesting on the field. Most teams score a touchdown and they're jumping and hugging on each other and hugging each other. For these Steelers, they said, all right, that's what we said we were going to do. A very mechanical performance in some ways, but again, that reflects the confidence of this team.
Matt Barr out of Colquitt's hold for the extra point. It's good. So the Steelers are on the board with 8 minutes and 30 seconds remaining in the third quarter. San Diego's lead is cut by 7. It's now Chargers 21. Rocky Blyer's touchdown has given the Steelers 7. Doubleheader again on NBC next Sunday, beginning with NFL 79 at 12:30. It's now 21-7. Pittsburgh trailing San Diego. Artie Owens takes the kickoff to the 20. And he draws the crowd out at about the 26-yard line. And you can see the Steelers fishing for that football. Oops. Kansas City. That renewal of a very emotional rivalry. Kansas City leading Oakland 17-7 in the third quarter. Oakland cannot afford another loss if they're going to entertain some extra games after December.
Speaking about emotion, Dick, the Pittsburgh Steelers defense quickly onto the field. A key situation here for them. They need to shut down San Diego, get that ball back to their offense.
Certainly this crowd not quite so noisy in San Diego. Joyner in motion. And Fouts back to the air from his 26. Complete at the 30 and tackled immediately. Jack Ham wraps up Mike Thomas.
That's complete to Mike Thomas.
Thomas, who went to the University of Nevada, Las Vegas after a freshman year at Oklahoma and was picked by the Redskins in the 5th round of 75. I believe that was George Allen's first draft pick that year, 5th round.
I believe it was, too. Thomas doing a good job on that play, but not as good a job as Jack Ham did. Ham quickly on top of him, shut him down. Second, about 6 yards to go on the 31-yard line.
Fouts at 50% now. He's 62% for the year. Thomas trying to get outside, breaks one tackle, 33-yard line. He's wrapped up by Robin Cole and J.T. Thomas. Make that Jack Lambert in on the stop. And it'll be short of the first down, 3rd and 3. Again, repeating the news involving quarterback Dan Pastorini of the Oilers. He has a patch on one eye after being struck in the eye in the second quarter of the game against Cincinnati. He's on the sidelines for the Oilers with a patch over the eye. So we'll follow that story. It is a very critical injury to the Oilers. 5 defensive backs in for the Steelers, and they have 11 men right up on the line of scrimmage on 3rd and 3.
And the blitz is on.
And they back
Good
off.
pickup.
Johnson on the coverage. and almost makes the interception. John Jefferson. Well, that Ron Johnson should sleep well tonight. He's been one-on-one against Jefferson so many times today. That'll break you into a cold sweat. He has done an outstanding job.
11 men up on the line of scrimmage, Dick. And let's watch L.C. Greenwood. Great all-pro. He's going to attack from the outside. They're getting not nearly as much pressure inside as they'd like. That's a 300-pound tackle. Russ Washington that he's getting by. Forced to throw a little bit early and dumps Fouts. Fouts threw the ball long enough, but a great play by Ron Johnson prevented the reception.
Well, the Chargers had the ball only 2 minutes. Ooh, a low snap. Jeff West gets away a good kick. Bell at his 24. Flag is down. Bell, 35. 42-yard line goes Bell, formerly of Arizona, but the penalty flag back down at the line of scrimmage, and we'll check that for you.
There are several possibilities. An illegal man downfield, and it appears that that's what it is. With that kind of field position, I doubt if they'll ask for a re-kick, Dick.
Now Bell, 18-yard return out to his own 42.
Illegal receiver downfield. Number 51. Penalty is declined. It'll be first down.
So San Diego leading 21-0 at halftime. Finds the lead, cut to 21-7, and now it's the Steelers with a ball at their 42 as the curtain starting to put a little offensive pressure on San Diego. We'll be back in beautiful Southern California. 6.5 minutes remaining, third quarter. Terry Bradshaw commented yesterday at practice that he was very impressed with the Chiefs, even though Pittsburgh beat them handily last week. He said he likes their defense. If they get some offense, they're going to be a team of the future. Well, they're showing it to Oakland today. Rocky Blyer, first down carry out to the 46-yard line. 2nd and 6. The Steelers did not have good field position the entire first half. On 8 possessions, they averaged at their own 20-yard line for the start. But on their last touchdown, they began at the San Diego 48, and they begin this possession at their own 42.
And certainly, without question, this is a 4-quarter game. You can't just play a great half and leave it in a dressing room. You've got to play 4 full ones. This Pittsburgh team has come back before. In fact, we saw them put 17 points on the board to beat St. Louis earlier in the year.
17 in the 4th quarter, coming from 21-7 down. Harris on the swing. Enters San Diego territory at the 48. Close to a first down. Now let's run down all the late games. You've seen most of the finals. Here are the games in progress around the country. Denver has just gone ahead on a John Keyworth run. 9 minutes left, third quarter at San Francisco. Broncos 24, 49ers 21. Tampa Bay feeling some pressure from the Bears, rolling against the Giants 24-3. New Orleans, their first place hold in jeopardy as Seattle leads them by 7 in the third quarter. Houston winning big 35-7 with a chance possibly to move into a first place tie with the Steelers if San Diego wins here. And Kansas City leads Oakland, as we told you, 24-7. 3rd and 1. Harris plowing forward. Oh, that's going to be close. That last jackknife move by Franco may have done it. I'm sure we'll have a measurement.
It appeared that he got enough for the first down, although Buchanan waving that it's not a first down. We'll let him measure. Boy, what a tough choice. If it's not a first down, what do you do if you're Chuck Noll? You're just beyond the 50-yard line. You've got to get those points. But do you risk turning the ball over to San Diego at midfield?
Well, that may all be academic. Let's just see what that chain tells us. It's either 4th or inches or first down Pittsburgh.
Want to speculate?
I think it's short. It is by links.
Boy.
Noel's going to go for it. You're the Super Bowl champions and can't make 4th and an inch, then you know how the logic goes from there. That's undoubtedly how Chuck Noll is thinking. Boy, this could be the game, even though we're 5 minutes remaining in the third quarter. Chargers could regain some emotion if they stop Pittsburgh.
They certainly could, and their fans rooting them on right here, encouraging that defense. They're on their feet.
Blyer and Harris behind Bradshaw. Blyer, on second effort, may have made it. He was stopped short, and Blyer somehow stayed on his feet, did the pinball act, rebounded, and charged forward.
Watch Rocky Blyer. He's hit in the backfield. get a chance to see it. It's a cross buck action. 57 Sam Davis trapping right there, but good penetration from the linebacker on the inside. That's number 55 Bob Horn, and Rocky just managed to pull away from him and dive for the first down. What a heart stopper for that bench on the far side of the field. They were afraid he was going to go down.
Horn could not have played it any better. Made a good solid hit. It was just strong effort by Blyer to save the Steelers possession at the 47 of San Diego. Bradshaw with both wide receivers left, screens right to Cunningham, and he is going to be wrapped up by Ray Preston, number 52. Boy, he's been playing up to his clippings.
Oh, Ray Preston read that screen to the tight end beautifully. That's a play that the Steelers have used effectively during this year, but one that is quite easy to read if you have your eye open for it. And Preston did a beautiful job here. Bradshaw back, trying to sucker him in a little bit, but watch number 52. Ray Preston just come up and bury Benny Cunningham before he could even turn around.
His idols, he says, Nick Bonacani. Well, he's played linebacker like the great veteran from Notre Dame, and Jim Brown, and a couple interceptions. Preston has run like old 32. Big yardage needed by Bradshaw. Goes to Swan. Almost intercepted. Willie Buchanan looking for his first of the year, and we have a flag down in the secondary of the Chargers, down at the 40 of San Diego, and I believe it's against San Diego for holding.
Watch Bradshaw stepping up into that pocket, get some extra time. If he had put a little more on that football, it might have been in the hands of Swan, but unfortunately defender able to get up in front of it. Watch Swan work on number 28 Buchanan down the field, stepping inside, and now breaking back outside.
Contact. Number 52 on the defense. First down.
But it was Buchanan, number 28, who stayed right with him and was able to get up in the air and knock it away.
The penalty was against Ray Preston for illegal contact. That carries the automatic first down plus the 5 yards. Ball at the 50. First down Steelers. When you watch Swan running, he reminds you of the former great with the Chargers, Lance Allworth, the way Allworth used to stride through that secondary. Bradshaw scrambling. Going to run it. And slides down at the 47-yard line. And downed hard by Bob Horn. Where was Swan while Bradshaw was scrambling? Let's see if we can search out number 88.
Well, a good receiver is going to be scrambling to try and get open so that he can provide a target. Watch Swan. He should see it about right here. Yes, sees it right there. Looks for the opening quickly. Out in front, he's saying, hey, okay, if you want me, I'm here. And, of course, that's what he should be doing right there.
Len has been shut out in this game thus far. Swan, who has been injured several of the games this season, has not had his usual big year. Franco on second down gets out to the 44-yard line before Gary Johnson can make the tackle. It'll be 3rd and 4 for the Steelers. Chuck Noll, 47 years of age. The winningest Steeler coach ever, trying to duplicate the record set by the Cowboys of appearing in 7 consecutive NFL playoffs. But right now, concerned about these Chargers and the fact that his hold of 1-game lead on first place is in jeopardy. 2 minutes, 15 seconds left, third quarter, a key 3rd and 4. Good protection. Going long for Stallworth. And Stallworth had to slow up for it, and that allowed the Chargers to come in, Fuller and Williams, and break up the play.
Give you a chance to see it. Plenty of time for Bradshaw as he gets out around the rush. Watch him right here. A little fake. Dean goes in. Kolb does a good job of cutting him down, and Bradshaw fires it deep. Now Stallworth had the break on him, but the ball hangs for a long time. Stallworth tries for a very tough catch, but 2 defenders there. Fuller actually batted it away, and it would appear that Chuck Noll is willing to gamble it all right here. 4th and 4. He's got his offense still on the field. He's not going to kick it away.
Mike Fuller, excellent play to deny the touchdown. 4th down 4. 3 wide receivers in. Smith left. Swan and Stallworth slotted to the right. Over the middle to Blyer. Oh, he breaks the tackle and gets the first down again. He was right at the 40. A flag is down, by the way. And there was a moment there where it appeared Blyer didn't have enough yardage. But again, the second effort but it's an offside against San Diego anyway.
Leroy Jones jumped inside and lined up offside. But watch Rocky Bleier. What a tremendous day he has had in clutch situations. You saw him pick up a big third down moments ago. Here on fourth down, Bleier catches the ball. He does not have the fourth down. He does not have the first right there. Gets hooked up, dives for it, just stretches out. Big play by the veteran.
Rocky Bleier, from Notre Dame to Vietnam, where he won the Purple Heart and the Bronze Star. They said he'd never play football or be really an active athlete again. Proved a lot of folks wrong. Key part to this Super Bowl champion Steelers. 2 minutes left, third quarter. First down from the 37 of San Diego. Pass is too low for Franco Harris down at the 35. Bradshaw a little unhappy with himself on that throw.
Just realizing that Lynn Swann has been shut out today. I can't help but reflect on a comment that Glenn Edwards made to him in the locker room, Dick. Glenn had gone in to say hello to his old teammates. Of course, he played in Pittsburgh, and as he was about to leave, he said, well, see you guys later, and turned to Swann. He said, I'll see a lot of you.
Most of it has not been from behind. Swann has been checked well. 2nd and 10. Pittsburgh at the 37 of San Diego. Final 2 minutes, third quarter. San Diego leads 21-7. Fifth defensive back is in for the Chargers. Bradshaw's in trouble. He was hit in the arm as he delivered that ball toward Lynn Swann. Fred Dean put the pressure on Bradshaw. He's working against John Kolb, number 55. Kolb, the left tackle of the Steelers, has not allowed a man to beat him yet and sack Bradshaw. That was pretty close. Dean got a piece of Terry and forced the errant throw. But Kolb, the muscular 262-pounder veteran from Oklahoma State, has really shielded his quarterback well. Reminds me of JoJo Starbuck, who introduced me to John Kolb earlier in the year and said, I'd like you to meet Mr. Kolb. He is a nice man. He keeps my husband healthy with one piece, and he's done that very well.
He has had his hands full with Dean. Dean has been in there many times today, has not sacked Bradshaw, but's been in his hair all day long.
3rd and 10 from the 37. Here comes Dean again, but Bradshaw going deep for Smith. Too deep. Coverage by the 5th defensive back, Jerome Dove, number 48. And Bradshaw, 3 straight misfires.
And again, I think they're going to go for it. I can't help but feel that maybe they would have been better off chipping at it a little bit instead of trying to get it all in one play. It seemed like again, Bradshaw certainly capable of choosing his plays well in most situations, but I hate to second guess, but I think they might have been better off if they'd have chosen to be a little more conservative in their choice of plays here in this quarter.
Noel is going to gamble for the 3rd time on 4th down, although at this point it's not that big a risk. Even if he fails, San Diego gets the ball around their 35. 4th and 10. 3 wide receivers. And the backs in the pattern as well. And Bradshaw's in trouble. There's Swann. Broken up and intercepted. Woody Lowe. Back to the 35, the 40. Now it can go. 50, 40. Bradshaw to beat. Or did he get in? Yes! Touchdown, Woody Lowe! Oh, my! '76-yard touchdown, his 2nd of the year for Woody Lowe.
You get a taste of what the feeling is on the other side. The tremendous happiness and emotional explosion of Coryell and his Chargers, and the almost dejected look of the Pittsburgh sideline. They were sure they were still in a good hitting position in this game. Woody Lowe may just have put them out of it.
And it was not Lowe that made the big play. We're going to have to check on the man who came up to bat the ball away. Was Glenn Edwards, who came up just as Swann was going to catch the ball. Edwards was the man who deflected it with that flying move, and a carom catch by Lowe, and then he ran it well. 76 yards, got some good downfield blocking. Try for point by Wood. It's good. So just when it appeared the Steelers were going to get right back in it, it goes the other way.
You see the feeling there, and let's take a look at the pass that leaves Bradshaw feeling that way. He scrambles to get away from the pressure. Dean coming in on him, sidesteps him, didn't quite get as much zip on that pass as he would like to have had on it. Edwards, 27, bounces it high. It's a tip drill. Woody Lowe, 51. Beautiful pick up there, and he looks like a halfback too. He and Preston have run it well today. Woody Lowe needs a gas station down there somewhere. Looks like he's about to run out. Finally just says that's enough, dives it in. The ball pops loose. Wow, a close play there.
That very nearly was a 75.5-yard run to a fumble to Pittsburgh. Ruled a touchdown. We have a timeout. 1:19 left in the third quarter. Chargers 28, Steelers 7. So turnovers continue to play a big part of this game. The Chargers just take one back, 76 yards. We'll show it to you again. Fumble right on the goal line, but ruled a touchdown. 28-7 San Diego. Rick Mosier, he fumbles. 13-yard line. Mosier, 17, 18. That'll be it. Let's go back to the touchdown by Lowe. First, a look at Lynn Swan, the intended receiver.
Swan running a pattern across the middle. Breaks outside. Number 45, Stringert, is on him. Swan is open right here. And had Bradshaw gunned that football, he might have had it. But you see the play by Edwards. Woody Lowe breaking away with it. Now, watch Edwards at the end of the run. It appeared that he may have fumbled the football, but looking closely at it, he apparently popped the ball loose as he hit the ground on the goal line. We'll give you a closer look at that now. Quickly from another angle.
Watch if the elbow is down, still possession, elbow fumbles there, and the ball was ruled to be right on the goal line. It only has to touch that final white line, and it was so ruled in a touchdown, but ever so close for San Diego. But now the Chargers fired again. They've regained the momentum.
Give you another look at that last play, because I'm sure Pittsburgh fans were shaking their heads and wondering if maybe they hadn't been, the fumble hadn't been taken away from him. But it would appear that he did have control until he hit the ground. Therefore, there is no fumble. Ruled a touchdown.
Steve Corson, 77, falling on the football. We do not know what's wrong with Jerry Mullins. He's not been playing in the second half. Second down, 12 from the 17. Wilbur Young appeared to be offside. Bradshaw goes through with a play to Swan, complete at the 30, and tackled immediately at the 31 by Pete Shaw.
Well, if I were to guess, unless Mullins is hurt, I would guess that 50 pounds he has to give up to Wilbur Young has encouraged them to put Steve Corson, a much bigger and stronger player, into the game. Dick, while we're looking at this, it might be good to reflect on one of Coryell's decisions when he first came to San Diego. Coryell was not really that interested in putting together a defensive staff. San Diego had a young defensive team that had started to play well. He kept the defensive staff intact. Jackie Simpson and Jerry Smith and Larry Weaver, the defensive coordinator, and they have done an excellent job of putting together this San Diego defense.
And it's reflected itself today against the team regarded as the best in football. Bradshaw trailing by 3 scores, hit Swan back-to-back, first down at the 44, and Swan pays the price. Mike Fuller, 42, part of that sandwich tackle.
Swan, too good a receiver to be shut out all day, but there are a lot of points to make up in this ball game, and not a great deal of time. In fact, we're down to double zeros in the third quarter.
The end of 3 periods in San Diego. Sellout crowd of 51,910. Having a chance again to cheer the local favorites, the Chargers. They lead Pittsburgh going into the final quarter, 28-7. Thank you, Bryant. Oh, it's going to be interesting as we look ahead. 4 games to go, not only to the playoff spots, the 3 champions plus the 2 wild card teams. That's only 5, and we've got 6 teams right now that will finish today at least 8-4. And how about home field advantage? Something that has certainly worked well for the Steelers down through the years. Cunningham unable to latch onto that pass at the 29 of San Diego as Mike Fuller, perhaps the smallest of the strong safeties in the NFL at 5'9", has played a big game.
We've given you a graphic briefly there on the San Diego schedule for the remainder of the year, and they are going to have 3 home games: Kansas City, Atlanta, and Denver. The only game away in New Orleans in the Superdome. That certainly would seem to favor them in their race with Denver. Denver having to finish the season with 3 games on the road. They're at home next week against Oakland, a game that we'll be doing on Sunday, Dick. And then 3 times in a row, they're on the road against Buffalo, Seattle, and San Diego. So if San Diego continues the way they are today, they will have an edge going into the final part of the season.
Meanwhile, 28-7 deficit facing Bradshaw, trying to generate something. That could be intercepted. Oh, it fell in an open spot.
And number 71, Fred Dean again. He hasn't had a sack today, but Bradshaw's got a number 71 on his hip, I think.
They call him Mean Dog Dean because he hounds quarterbacks, and Bradshaw would have to agree with that. And ironically, they both went to the same school. They're not humming the alma mater back there. They're both from Louisiana Tech. Dean trying to track down the man who preceded him, Terry Bradshaw.
There's a pretty mean man in his own right. Jack Lambert, the linebacker of the Pittsburgh Steelers.
Count Dracula of the Steelers. Runs tab. 3rd and 10 for Bradshaw. Completes to Stallworth. Can't break out of the tackle at midfield, so it's short of the first down. It appeared he was going to free himself from Woody Lowe's grasp. But Lowe, the touchdown maker, able to stop Stallworth shy of the first down.
I think that's one of the things that makes Stallworth such a great receiver. It's his ability to run with the football after he catches it. Woody Lowe, number 51, whom you saw stealing that pass and carrying it for the touchdown moments ago, did an extraordinarily fine job of hanging on to Stallworth's foot, not letting him get away.
Now the Steelers have to score. They trail 28-7, so they go for it. 4th and 4. Bradshaw in trouble. Gary Johnson got through cleanly. Down goes Bradshaw, and with him may well be the hopes of the Steelers today. San Diego defense should get a standing ovation as it comes on.
Johnson's wife in the stands, and you can see her happiness. It's a weary San Diego defensive team, but that's a happy Tired. They have done a great job. They've sacked Terry Bradshaw twice and kept the pressure on him all day long.
So San Diego with the lead has the ball at the Pittsburgh 40-yard line. The score, San Diego 28, the Steelers 7.
Dodgers built.
Yeah, with the Olympics just a few months ahead, that'll be a great preview of our top figure skaters going to Lake Placid Saturday on Sports World. It's one of our better shows.
Watch the stunt here as Gary Johnson comes to the outside. Now they're trying to zone pickup. Number 55, Cobe, actually supposed to pick up number 79. We'll show you the end of that play in just a second.
Meanwhile, San Diego with the ball at the 40, a flag down, and so is Clarence Williams at the 36-yard line. Let's go back to the big play, stopping Bradshaw and gaining possession for the Chargers.
Watch the line stunt now. Johnson breaks into the gap. They try to zone pickup. Number 55, as I said, responsible to stop Johnson. He just broke the gap and is all alone on the blind side of Terry Bradshaw. Actually ended up stripping the ball, although the official had called it dead. You see him right there. Boy, he almost tore Terry's arms off.
Now, San Diego last year was third in the NFL in sacks with 54 behind Dallas 58 and Detroit's 55. Came into this game with 30 sacks. Bradshaw had no chance that time. Penalty against San Diego. It's 1st and 15. The Steelers, should they lose, will be tied with Houston apparently 9-3. San Diego and Denver, if they both win, would be 9-3. 4 teams in the AFC with the same record. Fumble by Thomas. Boy, the ball is bouncing. Fumbles again. And let's see who gets it this time. The Steelers say they have it.
You got a little fisticuff going over there, right there.
Ron Johnson and Greg McCrary were going at it.
No, I think it's Blunt. Mel Blunt.
Mel Blunt, too.
Johnson trying to keep Blunt out of it.
I think we're going to have a couple of early showers after that skirmish.
Well, we may well do. But that's, you know, at this point in the game, Pittsburgh has to be frustrated mostly by their own ineffectiveness during the day, Dick. They did not play well in the first half offensively. Their defense went to sleep in the second quarter and didn't really wake up too much in this second half. And they really killed themselves with their own mistakes. I think probably Bradshaw has played one of his worst, if not his worst, game of the year. He has thrown repeatedly into the mouth of the defense and has given up a number of turnovers that have really spelled the difference in this game.
Steelers, however, may have the ball here despite the penalty. That's what they're trying to iron out, the penalty after change of possession. Let's hear Red Cashin.
After the fumble, unnecessary roughness number 47, unnecessary roughness number 88, be first down from right here.
No word that either man had been tossed out of the game. Here's the fumble by Thomas, who had trouble right from the beginning.
Ball drops, comes right back up into his hands, but I think he relaxed a little, never got it tucked away. At 67, Gary Dunn, he gets a piece of him. And 68, L.C. Greenwood just buries him. The ball cleanly loose, and the Steelers get a hold of it, but that's about the time that the fisticuffs started up behind the play. There you saw it right there. McCrary, after the play, unloaded on Blunt. I don't blame him for being angry.
Steelers, plenty of time, 13 and a half minutes left. The Harris give is out to the 48-yard line before Bob Horn can make the tackle. 13 minutes and 30 seconds remain. San Diego leads 28-7. A big interception for touchdown, with the Steelers pulling within 14 and having the ball deep in San Diego territory. Pass interception by Woody Lowe here in the second half. A 76-yard touchdown run by Lowe, turning things back emotionally for San Diego. But the Steelers now with a fumble recovery, trying to get into the game. Bradshaw guns it to Harris, short of the first down. It'll be 3rd and 1. Bob Horn again on the stop.
Franco Harris couldn't get his footing on that play, and I'd have to again say that this is a team that's used to practicing on and playing on artificial turf, a surface that's much quicker than the natural turf and easier to get a grip on with your cleats. Harris reached for it, and his feet kind of slipped out from underneath him. Did not get the first down. I think would have had it on the artificial turf.
Merlin, you suddenly look at this game, despite San Diego's 21-0 lead going into the second half. Steelers get a touchdown, had possession on the interception in San Diego territory. Bradshaw was just sacked in his own territory. They still get the ball back. There have been opportunities for the Steelers, but he's denied. Harris does not get the first down. Fred Dean, 71, spearheaded the charge, and Jack Lambert showing disgust on his face.
Well, you've got to admire the way the San Diego defense has played today. Been said that they were capable but inconsistent. And they have been consistently good in the way they have mauled this Steeler offense during this full afternoon.
So they lose a yard, the Steelers, so it's 4th and 2 at the San Diego 49. This could be their last hope. They need to maintain possession and score to get back in it. Harris stopped at the 50. The Chargers do it again. Gary Johnson, 79, with another big play, and Chuck Noll can't believe it. Looks as if he's saying, what was the call? Well, the Chargers obviously had the right defense for it. Timeout, 11 and a half minutes remaining in San Diego, where the Chargers hold on to the 21-point lead. At midfield. Dan Fouts, one touchdown pass today. Figures he'll stay on the ground. Clarence Williams cutting back inside a block. Gets 3 to the Pittsburgh 47. Steve Furness, 64, with a tackle for the Steelers.
And the defense has no choice. A game this far out of control, they've got to try and tackle a football, try and play aggressively, blitz and stunt, try and knock that ball loose and get a turnover. Because if they don't and allow San Diego to control a football, they'll lead up that clock. 11:05, 11:04, and really time is their enemy now more than the Chargers.
Dwayne Woodruff, number 49, has replaced Donnie Shell at safety. 2nd and 7. Thomas, good head of steam, gets down to the 43-yard line, where it'll be 3rd down and 3. Jack Ham made the tackle. The Chargers trying to grind out some first downs on the ground, chew up the clock. It's running at 10:35 here in San Diego. Chargers have led throughout, capitalizing on Pittsburgh mistakes throughout this game.
I don't think Terry Bradshaw is going to want to sit by Chuck Noll on the way home from this one.
Anyone's going to want to sit next to Chuck.
I'm afraid that airplane flight is going to be long too. We've seen a couple of teams who had long flights home these last few weeks.
3rd and a long 3. Thomas has a block in front. Wilkinson has a first down all the way to the 31 of Pittsburgh. Blunt and Thomas made the stop, so that answers the question whether Blunt and McCrary were thrown out for their little tete-a-tete. Apparently not.
Big play by the San Diego offense. Mike Thomas breaking around, breaking containment. But as you'll often see in a game where you're playing from behind, playing catch-up football and trying to tackle a football, trying to make the big play, very often people are trying to do too much, and they leave some gaps in that defense. Thomas capitalized on one, got a big first down.
And the clock running 9.5 minutes left. Thomas again. Can't get through that curtain. Stopped right at the 30-yard line. Ham leading the charge of the Steelers.
One of the things that's unique about the San Diego Charger team is that they signal all the offensive plays in from the sideline. But Coach Gibbs calls them upstairs. Jim Hannafin right there on the right-hand side signals them in. Now that's George Perlis on the left side signaling in the defense. So you have a rather unique thing here. Two coaches on the sideline directing offense and defense and sending in the plays.
George Perlis not too happy about the response he's getting, almost as if they're not paying attention to him. It doesn't seem to do any good anyway. 2nd and 9. Thomas hit in the backfield and dropped for a loss at the 32-yard line. Now, Merlin, with that kind of signaling in of offense and defense, in baseball, sooner or later, someone in that dugout's going to pick up the signs and burn you with it. Why not in football?
Well, it can be done, but the problem is then signaling. There's Lambert, by the way, looking over at his coach on the sideline. Now, if a quarterback were to be looking at George Perlis and could pick up his signals and then call his play, knowing what the defense was, he would have an advantage. So very often you'll see a defensive coach signaling and looking at the quarterback to make sure he's not looking in. Difficult to get the signals in from the sideline in time to help the quarterback.
Routes on 3rd and 11 into a passing situation, and he's got a man wide open. Williams loses the touchdown. Oh my.
Well, they've had almost everything go right. That would have been some additional icing on the cake. Clarence Williams has had a great year, has a lot of touchdowns on the year, most of them by running. But Fouts again, not afraid to throw under any kind of circumstances. And here he is, almost getting brushed on the backside. Dwight White, pass off, beautifully thrown. Williams adjusts nicely. That was 49 Woodruff that he broke away from, but Williams unable to hang on to it in the end zone.
With that old football expression, hitting him in the numbers, that was right on his number 40, almost too easy. Now Fouts probably saying philosophically, hey, save it when a time we may really need that catch. West, good kick down at the 7-yard line. Downfield, to pounce on it was Billy Shields. It appeared, no, it was 56 Bob Rush, the man who snapped the ball. Now the Steelers have the ball with less than 8 minutes remaining in the game in San Diego. And the Chargers, before this big sellout, lead 28-7. That tells the whole story. Mr. Knoll and Mr. Bradshaw. 28-7 San Diego. And on Thanksgiving Day, it'll be Bum Phillips and Tom Landry.
Couple of unique coaches, much different in their approach.
Well, they are contrasts, aren't they? Look forward to that game. Hope you'll join us on the holiday. Bradshaw. Harris. Out of bounds at the 12-yard line. Short yardage. 2nd and 5. Bob Horn ran Franco out.
Dick, looking at that picture of Chuck Knoll and Terry Bradshaw, one of the things I'd like to say for Bradshaw, he's not afraid to tell you he had a bad day. And I'm sure if we could get him on the microphone and say, what kind of day have you had? He'd tell you he's had a lousy day. And this whole team, the Pittsburgh Steelers team, are unique in a way because they don't point the finger at each other. If they've done something wrong, they say, hey, I made a mistake or I blew a play. Now, that's the kind of thing you can come back from. If you don't admit you've made mistakes, as some football players won't, it's impossible to correct those errors.
It's really a good point. Deflected and intercepted. Mike Williams has it at the 18-yard line. Randy Grossman made the tackle, and the Chargers have another turnover. 7 today. That wasn't Bradshaw's fault. That was just a good defensive play on the deflection.
Well, many of the plays today have been forced by an aggressive defense. Bradshaw back. Of course, he's looking to get some points on the board. Save a little face at this point in the game. Rifles the ball. Under pressure from Dean. And Dean hit him just as he threw that ball. Ball tipped by Johnson. Up in the air. Picked off. Now watch Bradshaw's reaction. You know this has been a very long day for him. And this is just kind of the capper on the whole thing. Hit right there. Throws the ball. That was actually Wilbur Young, I believe, 99, that tapped it. But watch this. He almost doesn't want to go back to the bench, and I don't blame him.
Mike Thomas down to the 8-yard line, close to 10 yards for Thomas. Wilbur Young, the giant defensive tackle, who stretches like a sequoia in that defensive line for San Diego, used his 6'7" frame to bat one of Bradshaw's passes to a teammate, and San Diego leads 28-7 and charging for more. The score here in San Diego with 7 minutes left in the game is 28-7 San Diego. They've got a hot one going in Kansas City and Oakland. Let's go now to Oakland and Merle Harmon. Meanwhile, it's Dan Fouts. 2nd down and 1. Inside the 10. Thomas to the 5. Almost fumbled. He's down to the 2-yard line. See the rib pads worn by Mike Thomas as that jersey was free. Hank Bauer, the howitzer in the Charger attack, number 37, comes in. But look at the distance the players are giving Chuck Noll.
I don't blame them. On the other side of the field, you've got to believe that Coryell and his staff and his players can't wait to get this game over with so they can start celebrating what has to be the biggest victory that they've had here in San Diego in many, many years.
Matthews and Bauer. Bauer likes to vault. He is in the end zone. The Chargers have 6 more as Hank Bauer, who has carried the ball only 13 times all year for a total of 16 yards, has his 4th touchdown.
Dick, you got to wonder. Started with the quote that Coryell made that this Pittsburgh Steelers team was the best that ever played. Now, what does that say about the San Diego Chargers?
Here's Hank Bauer, the short yardage expert. Just a missile himself as he spears through that Pittsburgh defense.
Woods point after. You know, this Wood has really come along with Berniska's illness, and Mike Wood has filled that void and done a remarkable job. Don Coryell. There's Gene Klein's comment at the start of the broadcast as we showed it to you. This may be the most important sports event. They've been talking about it for months, and the Chargers have lived up to all the local expectations. We'll have more of the quotes as we have 5 minutes left. San Diego in front. Noisy sellout crowd in San Diego. Even some special guests. Merlin Olsen's ticket got in. Spider-Man. Boy, it must feel like finding yourself in a giant web for the Steelers. They just have not been able to move the football. They've been outpassed. They've been outrushed by the San Diego team. As under Coryell, with a victory today, San Diego will be 16-4.
Well, the Steelers have, on the other hand, proved that they are indeed human with their performance today, as they did earlier against the Cincinnati Bengals. But what a shocking upset for these champion Pittsburgh Steelers.
Now the fans starting to chant Super Bowl. Anderson 9, 15, 20, 25, 26. But there's a good point there too, Merlin, and that is that the Steelers never show any concern about making the playoffs. They almost say, hey, we're going to be there. It's just a matter of winning another Super Bowl, where the attitude of the Chargers, understandably, a team that has never been in the playoffs since they joined the NFL, is we just want to get in the playoffs. The fans may be saying Super Bowl. You don't get that feeling from the players.
Well, and realistically, the Chargers, without having playoff experience, are not quite as strong in getting into that situation as the Steelers would be.
Well, 3 of the next Steeler games, as you saw, will be at home. And a big one at Houston. Rocky Bleier stopped little game. And going back to the point we made earlier, Merlin, and that is that there are so many teams in the American Conference with good records, someone's going to be left at home with an outstanding record. Only 5 can go in the playoffs, the 3 champions plus the 2 wild cards. At this moment, Houston, Pittsburgh, San Diego, and Denver would all be 9-3. New England and Cleveland 8-4, with Miami at 7-5. So the Steelers suddenly are just one of the boys at 9-3. 4 teams will have that record. Down goes Bradshaw. Now it's a matter for the Steelers that he doesn't get hurt. as the Chargers are teeing off defensively. Johnson, Gary Johnson, playing like an all-pro. That's his 3rd sack. #1 pick out of Grambling. There's the lineup coming into today's play. But if Pittsburgh should lose, and with 5 minutes left, they're down by 28 points. San Diego wins. That makes it 9-3, 9-3. Houston is winning big, 9-3. Denver's now a couple of touchdowns ahead, 9-3. New England has already won, 8-4. Miami 7-5, and Cleveland 8-4. A lot of good teams.
It does tighten up, doesn't it?
Swan and Stallworth left. Bradshaw, 3rd down, 18. Johnson was offside. Bradshaw goes through the play and hits Stallworth, who laterals to Swan, and that resulted in an added gain of 1 yard. But at least the Steelers, imaginative, in defeat.
They're not going to give it up. And James Harris, number 12, quarterback, formerly of the Los Angeles Rams, and backup to Dan Fouts here, warming up on the sideline. Dick, one thing we ought to say, too, that looking at those standings, the home field advantage that we mentioned earlier also becomes very important. And the Steelers had wanted to win this game, setting themselves up for that last drive, partly because of the advantage of their home field. They know that it's a lot tougher on people coming to Pittsburgh to play than it is coming to sunny Southern California, for instance, to this stadium, which is a much easier climate to play in than you would find in Pittsburgh.
And something we should pursue before we leave the air, too, is how important our Thanksgiving date becomes now for both teams. Dallas losing, now tied for first, and Houston will be in another interception. Bradshaw picked off by Woody Lowe, and Lowe already has 1 touchdown, gets all the way to the 12-yard line. 8 turnovers by the Steelers, and that's all she goes, but for the celebration in San Diego.
Terry Bradshaw again. Boy, he has had a disastrous day. Throws this one off the mark. Throwing to Rocky Blyer, or was he trying to throw deep to Jim Smith, number 86? He did not get it to either one. He did get it to number 51, Woody Lowe. Woody right here going to put a move on Bradshaw, and Terry just hasn't been able to do it right all day.
Fouts is still a quarterback for San Diego, leading 35-7. Mike Thomas ridden out of bounds at the 11-yard line, and the flag is down.
Dick, I talked to Bradshaw in the dressing room before the game, and he said that he had had difficulty sleeping. They got in late on Friday night, did not sleep well last night. I think he may be replaying this game all night tonight. He may have another sleepless night coming.
Holding San Diego will cost them 10 yards. 4:08 left in the game. 35-7 San Diego. What will the effect of this game be on both these teams?
Well, I would have to feel that it's a real positive note for the San Diego Chargers. They have tested themselves against the best today. They came out hot. They kept the pressure on all day.
And for Dan Fouts.
Yeah. Boy, that's nice. They give him a chance to take the bow of the crowd. Well, let's look on the other sideline. The Steelers know that they're a quality football team. They're not going to be shaken by this. They'll be humbled a little bit by it. It'll bring them back into the real world, just as that Cincinnati game did. But I think they can handle it. What a great day Fouts has had. Absolutely incredible.
Well, his statistics not that great, but his team has played so well. It's been Fouts enjoying the position that defense has provided him throughout the game. Statistically one of his poor days, but as a leader, again demonstrating that he belongs in the same breath with the Bradshaws and the Staubachs, or at least a quarterback coming in that direction. Let's pause briefly for station identification. This is the NBC television network.
KCST TV, San Diego.
Dan Fouts, we saw him last night. He took his entire offensive line out to dinner. That's one of his traditions on Saturday night. They protected him pretty well again today. James Harris has replaced him. Mike Thomas to the 17-yard line. It'll be 3rd down. Steve Furness made the tackle for Pittsburgh.
It's interesting, that statistic, Joe Costanza stayed up late and found that one for us. Look at the 4 quarterbacks. They're all warm weather or indoor quarterbacks. Fouts, Manning, Stabler, DeBerg. Their home parks are all in decent climates. And that again reflects on your comment, Merlin, about going to the playoffs and those kinds of teams not wanting to go back into the Midwest and East into the ice of January.
Well, certainly not only the passing, the receiving is affected, the special teams, your kickers have a tough time kicking in the cold weather if they're not used to it. That ball gets to be like a rock and simply doesn't travel like it will here in the warm weather.
Harris to Thomas to the 14. Stop Cole there. That'll bring on the field goal unit. Ron Johnson, a little bumping match with 86 John Floyd in the secondary. Nothing serious. Wood comes on. His first field goal attempt. He's made 9 out of 10 since he joined the Chargers from the Cardinals. Woody Lowe, a couple of interceptions has set up this opportunity. Wood was only 2 of 7 with the Cardinals. And that he was working with Steve Little. One day he'd be punting, and the next game he'd be their field goal kicker. But he's been outstanding, almost perfect here in San Diego. And filling a void left by the injury or the illness to Bernishka, and Roy Girella, the ex-Steeler, unable to do well with San Diego, but Wood certainly has. 2-minute warning has been given. 35-7 San Diego. Happy Don Coryell symbolizes this San Diego effort. We'd like to remind those of you watching in the Eastern and Central time zones, please stay tuned for the Sunday big event, the Little House Years, which will be seen in its entirety immediately following our game. For those watching on the West Coast, this 3 hours Sunday big event will be seen at its regularly scheduled time. Little House follows the end of this game from San Diego. Mike Wood will try to chip in a 3-pointer from the 22-yard line. Fuller to hold. 2 minutes left. Bad snap, so Fuller scrambles to his left, tries to throw, it's incomplete. Bad snap. That wasn't a matter of a fake field goal. It was Fuller realizing he could not get the ball turned in position for Wood's kick. It was not Coryell trying for a fake. Don't be misled.
That's an automatic play. Anytime you fumble a snap, you know you can't get it off. You're instructed to run with it and make a call to get the receivers out. Looking at the excitement on that San Diego bench, might be interesting to look back at their season. They've had a couple of games, Dick, that they could have won quite easily had they been able to not make some of the critical errors that Pittsburgh has made today.
Well, you recall we did the game at New England when they were behind 27-21, had a couple of late interceptions, and Fouts had the ball inside the 10 at the 5-yard line when Steve Nelson intercepted a pass to save that win. They lost 27-21, lost to Denver 7-0.
They missed 4 field goals in that game, 2 of them very close and one from about 34 yards. So they did have a chance to get that one too.
Mike Kruzik is now in a quarterback. He hits Greg Hawthorne for a short game. The only time they've really lost big was at Oakland, 45-22. Now the San Diego club might be asking itself, how good are we? Oakland falls short as Kansas City upsets the Raiders 24-21. A disastrous loss. Many hopes for the Oakland fans because they now fall to 6-6. And just too many teams with better records. In fact, Seattle, should they win, would be 6-6, and well, a long shots at best. Those teams with 4 games remaining. Kruzik flips it out to Rick Moser, and he carries the tackler to the 24-yard line, close to a first down. Mike Williams made the stop. Moser from Rhode Island, where he was 2-time Division II academic All-American. Terry Bradshaw, time for sorting out.
Definitely that. I have to admit that I was a little skeptical about these Chargers. I didn't know that I wasn't sure that a team could win with just a passing attack. Of course, they've done more than that today, but they've made a real believer out of me today. They've taken on the Steelers, and they gave them all they could handle up and down the street. Certainly have proven themselves to be a worthy possibility for that playoff race, and even as one scribe in Sports Illustrated predicted, perhaps contested in the Super Bowl, Dick.
That's right. Paul Zimmerman said they'd play the Cowboys in the Super Bowl and win it. And they played like champions today. And of course, it's all their way now with Kruzik and the Steelers eating the ball back at the 10-yard line. Clock is stopped with 12 seconds left. Let's see whether Pittsburgh has called time or not. So that's how the standings in the AFC West will look. Denver is winning and would be 9-3, tied with San Diego. They meet in the last game of the season, but San Diego has the home field advantage as they're playing their last 3 or 4 at home. They count off the final seconds of this victory in San Diego. Winners go off joyously with their players, losers stay.
What a tremendous emotional win for Coryell and his Chargers. An embarrassing loss for the world champion Pittsburgh Steelers. But I have a feeling they may be back.
Oh, and how the races have tightened as we go into the final.